Hot takes are everywhere, but they're often uninformed, and major news is biased. We've had enough of hot takes. We want informed takes. Join Kevin Briggins and Devin Smith as they have rational conversations about domestic politics, geopolitics, and military affairs. Things will get interesting as they bring in expert guests, even from across the aisle. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and hop into the chat. It's time for Informed Takes.
Yo, welcome back everybody to Informed Takes. I am Kevin Briggins. He is Devin Smith, and we are glad that you all are back with us again. Man, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. We rocking and rolling this week, man. Just I did something today this week that I've never done before.
Okay.
So you know how every now and again you got some like bananas that just been sitting in your house and they going bad. Everybody says you're supposed to make banana bread with them. Well,
Yeah,
like I was told myself, like, you know what? I'm gonna do it, and never did it. We made banana bread this time, and I didn't know I had it in me. Like, we made some dope banana bread. That junk's fire. I brought a slice. Look at that, man.
Oh man.
Listen, man. We made some banana bread. That's my big accomplishment this week.
It looks good. Now I'm jealous.
Hey, we'll make sure we'll get y'all some of that. We'll make sure we get y'all some of that. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I am good. Man, this week has flown by. I can't believe it's Thursday already.
Yeah, you telling me? You telling me? I need maybe like 1 or 2 more days in the week. You know, back when I used to work a 9 to 5. I didn't want that unless I had a deadline, but now I'm like, man, if I could just have like 2 more days in the week, I could get more done. Maybe I just need to get better at time management. I don't know.
I feel you. It was a interesting week in politics, I will say.
Yes, it was.
A lot more going on than I thought, we were going to have, but it never disappoints.
I mean, I was thinking as I was putting the thumbnail together, I just, the same thing that I always say just echoes in my head. The show writes itself. I mean, the stuff that happened this week, you can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make it up.
Nope. You're right. And I'm looking forward to jumping into it. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah. No, it's one of the great things about doing this is we never run out of interesting things to talk about. We're just struggling to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's always more we can throw in here. We can do a 4-hour-long show and throw in, all kinds of stuff. But I think we got a good rundown this week. And so man, let's just jump into the main story. What's the main story this week?
Man, so apparently backing Ukraine is back. Backing Ukraine is back, baby. I want to know how all the hardcore like isolationist wing of MAGA it feels about that, because I'm like, now Trump is game. Like, now I will say we'll get to a video, but the way he's doing it this time is way smarter than before. So hat tip to him. Like, the way he's doing it now is way smarter.
It is way smarter, but it's also semantics, to make people feel better. But I know the hardcore MAGA base has to feel pretty betrayed right now, right?
Man.
Because they were anti-Ukraine.
Yup.
They wanted the Epstein files.
Yup. Mm-hmm.
And it's just been a bad week for what I would call the hardcore MAGA, the isolationist MAGA,
Yeah.
Because we are not going the direction they thought we were going to go.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that one of the things that I thought about the whole Ukraine thing, I think I mentioned it when we talked about the new deal, the new Ukraine deal. I was like, this is smarter because there needs to be an enduring interest. If you're going to make a smart deal, it's just one of the things I've learned in business. People forget, man. The whole "what have you done for me lately" thing is real.
Yeah.
People forget. Yeah. You got to have an enduring interest. And so, the Ukraine deal before was kind of built on, it was kind of built on like, hey, you do this thing right now that's pretty expedient right now, and then we'll protect you in the future in perpetuity. And everybody kind of forgot that expedient thing kind of mattered back in the day. It doesn't matter as much now, right? At least to us. You
were talking about the original Ukraine deal in the 90s.
Yes.
After the fall of the Soviet Union, and we made a deal with them that if they gave up their nuclear weapons, that we would essentially protect them if Russia ever tried to invade or attack them.
Yeah. That's right. And for the my fellow conservatives, it's literally the same as somebody coming and saying that hey, listen, you can have a pistol, but you can't have an AR-15. You gotta give us the ARs, okay? You gotta dismantle the ARs. You gotta get rid of them. Now, if anybody ever comes, okay, if the stuff breaks out in your neighborhood, we'll come and protect you. But you gotta give up the ARs. And then later on down the road, the stuff pops off. You shooting little pistols and stuff, and they got ARs, and you're like, you made us give them up. What you gonna do? And everybody's like, America first. Like that don't sound great. It don't sound great.
The Jews.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow, it's always the Jews, right? We'll get to that later on in the show too.
Yes.
Can't make this stuff up. Oh my gosh, just ridiculous, man. So we got a video. We got Eric Erickson talking a little bit about some of the details of the new situation. I do have a question though. I do have a question for you. Are you drinking H2O tonight? Have you done anything? Do you have a drink at all?
I do. But yes, it is H2O, but the sparkling kind.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Did you at least get you some sparkling H2O?
Got some guava berry.
Hey, there we go. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. I mean,
I got to stay on my carnivore.
Right.
I can't mess it up with alcohol.
No, that's right. I support it. I'm like, man, if I were in your position, I would be doing the sparkling wine. I'd be putting all kind of flavors in that thing, man. That's what I would be doing. I guess on my side, I'm doing the same thing I did last week. Grand Marnier, citrus.
Nice.
Good stuff. Orange.
Nice.
Very nice stuff. But speaking of very nice, let's go to Eric Erickson's very nice explanation of what's going on between the U.S. and Ukraine.
President and the NATO Secretary General acknowledging that the United States is actually going to be continuing to supply weapons to Ukraine, but the way this is going to work is our NATO allies will purchase the weapons. The president has come up with this way to keep Ukraine safe while also maximize U.S. weapons. Now, this isn't actually a really bad idea. A lot of what we sent to Ukraine wasn't actually a gift. It was a loan, with Europe guaranteeing the loans, but now it's going to be direct payments from Europe to the United States. Separate from that, the president is going to send additional Patriot missile batteries to Ukraine. because of the drone situation and the missile strikes from Russia. And, interestingly enough, there are a number of reports out are saying that we are becoming, as a nation, vastly more interested in the drone technology that's now being deployed in Ukraine. We have drone technology, but what's being deployed in Ukraine at this point is more cutting edge than a lot of the drone technology we have. And so we are actually in Ukraine right now looking at the drone technology being deployed by the Russians, much of which is coming from Iran, North Korea, and China. So this is a win for us, because not only will NATO be buying our weapons, but that will maximize our missile development. Now, the reason that's good for us is because we've got to boost our capacity. A lot of the weapons are made in Alabama and also in Indiana and Ohio. There are a lot of weapons manufacturers. This is a well-structured deal. And to the president's point, this is something Joe Biden could have done earlier, and Joe Biden chose not to do. Instead of doing that, he was loaning money. And some of those loans, if Ukraine falls, we're never going to get the money back. Otherwise, it's going to be a long time before we get the money. And now we'll get the money up front.
Yeah. I got to give him props. Got to give him props.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think most people understood that the money we were sending to Ukraine was also a loan backed up by Europe.
No, they definitely didn't.
No,
I think Russian propaganda helped with that.
Yeah, it might have been some Russian paid influencers out there pushing that.
Some bots on X, maybe a little, sprinkle in a little Lauren Chen, you know what I'm saying? Little Candace,
yeah, little Candace,
Salt Bay that junk on there.
But no, this is a smart way to do it. I like how they're doing it. And I'm going to be honest, man, this is a middle finger to Putin, because Putin didn't want to cooperate with any kind of peace deal, which if you don't give him a reason to, why would he? Yeah. He feels like he can win this war. He can outlast Ukraine. And so unless you gave him something to really consider, which I don't know if we did, because it felt like we took the big guns off the table in terms of, I already told you what I said I would do. I would have went to the table like, man, if you don't agree to this ceasefire, we're going to hit your targets in Ukraine. We're going to hit your front lines. We're getting involved, just like we did Iran. And caused him to call my bluff. Right. Yeah. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he has no incentive, because he feels like he's going to win this war. And so unless you give Putin something to consider, he was never going to agree to a ceasefire. He was never going to cooperate. And Trump realized that, and Trump just got frustrated and said, okay, you know what, Ukraine, here you go. Here's more weapons. Here's some more Patriot missiles to defend yourselves. And this is going to continue until Putin is forced to come to the negotiating table.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always thought it was a little bit naive, in my opinion, that and I don't mean to say that in a disrespectful way. Maybe naive is a
no, it was naive.
Yeah, I guess if I'm being honest, it was naive for him to think that Putin was going to stop without any real credible threat if he doesn't stop. Like this whole idea, like, oh, we just got to get to a deal that both parties like. Putin he's trying to relive USSR dreams. You're not going to make a deal with him. He's not going to get Ukraine because of some asset that he wants. He believes that Russia, as you said in the past, should be able to do whatever it wants in Europe. It believes that it should be able to do whatever it wants. And so this whole idea that you're gonna make some kind of deal and he's gonna love it and then he's gonna stop doing what he's doing. It's just I don't think that Trump understands the way that he works, or at least he didn't understand the way that Putin works. Maybe he understands it better now. But I agree with you. The only thing that's going to make Putin stop is, hey, stop. You got to have the big stick. The whole speak softly and carry a big stick. If you ain't got, if you ain't swinging the stick, you got to swing. You got to, let them know you still got it.
Yeah. And he correctly told Zelensky, like, you don't have any cards, man. You don't have any cards. The only cards Ukraine have is us. But if you pull us off the table, what is there? Putin doesn't care about sanctions. You can't throw any more sanctions on him, right? No. Unless you are going to threaten U.S. military action in this conflict, there was nothing. There were no cards that Ukraine had.
Right. That's exactly right. There's no bargaining chips on their end, because I mean, they need help to win this war. And so it does seem like, among the changes on Trump's side, Zelensky also has gotten a little bit wiser in that he's not out here. I do think that Trump, as much as I may have disliked some of the way that they disrespected Zelensky in the Oval Office, some of that was a little unnecessary. It's like, when somebody gets it's like a fight at school and dude gets knocked down and then like he just keeps wailing on him. It's like, yeah, he had to wail on him like that. Don't talk about a dude's suit. Like, don't do that to him. But I think that he was kind of coming around acting like he had this moral superiority, and the whole not wearing a suit thing is a little bit of that. It is. As much as I felt like it was unnecessary to comment on that, he just came with that air. And he's sitting down with Democrats, and they're wanting him to make all these big public shows. I really appreciated how you pointed that out back in the day when we were talking about this earlier this year, because I didn't really think about it like that. The dude's going around trying to make a public show. What's the point? The UN's trying to make this resolution. What's the point? What's it going to do other than grandstand? What matters is, can you win the war or not? That's what matters.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the only thing I think I would have considered doing or threatening Putin with is establishing a no-fly zone, right? Essentially what you would do if you establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine, you take out Russia's ability, which is their advantage, which is their air power, right?
Yeah.
You can't launch rockets. You can't, send bombers in to hit Kyiv, right? Now it's just a force-on-force fight on the ground, And so, but it's one of those, that's a risky option, because if you try to go and establish a no-fly zone and there is an incident, you almost pushing yourself in a position to have to go to war.
That's right.
So it's risky to do that. But it's also one of those things of, I'm betting Putin doesn't want to go to war with us, right? I'm betting he doesn't want an incident, right? Because he knows he can't win. So we're going to load up. We're going to some F-22, some F-35s over there, some F-15s, and we're going to establish a no-fly zone, and we're not going to let you fly over Ukraine and bomb them, right?
Right.
And so, yeah. And so let's see. Let's play ball now.
Yeah.
And so there just had to be something more than sanctions.
Yeah.
on the table.
Everything for everybody ain't economic, right? Like,
no, and Russia's been dealing with sanctions, and then they have they work with China to kind of and BRICS to kind of get around the sanctions, and it's just the sanction stuff just doesn't work. It's almost like the tariffs, right? You can't just keep doubling down on that stuff.
Right.
Eventually, and even Trump said that. He said, with the sanctions when he was running for office, he was like, we can't keep doing sanctions because we're pushing, Putin and others away from the dollar, right?
Right.
And so he even said it during the campaign, but then once he sits down, does this negotiating thing, he's threatened sanctions, and it's like economic sanctions can only take you so far.
Yeah, and if you say that out loud, right? Like if you say you can only take sanctions so far, Putin's hearing that, so he knows you're only willing to go so far. So he's like, all right, let's see. Mm-hmm. Let's play chicken. Let's see how far he's willing to go, and he did essentially. But
the only other thing.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I was just saying, I just thought about it. The one thing we could have done, Russia's economy is based on oil.
Yeah.
Right. We have the largest oil reserves in the world. If we just flooded the market with oil and just plummeted the price down, that would that would really, really hurt Russia. The only problem is it would hurt, Saudi Arabia, our OPEC partners, So that's a move you have to like go in kind of somewhat political on with our allies who are in the oil business.
Yeah.
But if we decide to just start pumping out oil and pushing oil into the market and increase the supply, man, it would just crash the price down. And so that would decimate Russia's economy.
Yeah.
And so like I said, there are options and things that we can do, but I think the word you use, naive, I think President Trump went into this somewhat naive into what it was going to take to get Russia to actually come to the negotiating table and stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that I thought was super, super interesting in Erickson's explanation that we haven't touched on yet is the fact that now the drones that Russia is using are more advanced than the stuff that we have. And so we now have an interest in being able to look into that. And, I'm sure there's some interest in us being able to recover some of that stuff and take a look at it. And obviously, which I suspected, I was like, I hate to say this, but ain't no way Russia developed drones more advanced than us. It's got to be given to them by somebody else.
But no, this is what I was going to say. So they're getting most of their drones from Iran, and so that's what I was wondering too. When we hit Iran, and when Israel hit them, how much of their drone manufacturing did we try to take out? Because that's what they were really helping Russia with. It's not that the technology is better.
China's giving the drones too, right?
I know China is helping Russia, but I don't know about particularly in the drones. I know Iran was really producing a lot of the drones for them.
Okay.
But it's the thing, and that's what I would correct them on. It's not more advanced technology. Our drones are way more technologically advanced, right? It's just that our drones cost millions of dollars. They're huge, and we have expensive warheads and weapons on them, right? They're really expensive. But in terms of technology, way more advanced than what they're using. But what they've done is their tactics are more advanced because they're using these really small, cheap drones and finding different ways to make them effective on the battlefield that are way more effective than our drones, which are more kind of like, I guess you call them bombers with the ability to stay in the air for a really long time and a camera on it. So it's an intelligence asset with a missile on it, right? And what they're doing with these little drones, man, because they're small, because they're cheap and easy to build and cheap to build, they can just flood you with drones, right? And that is kind of what we are more interested in because it is kind of neutralizing the battlefield somewhat because they're not expensive, they're not hard to operate, and just seeing how they're using them. This is the first war with drone warfare, and so that is what we're interested in. It's the tactics, not the technology.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
man. I feel like we got cheat codes, man. We got a 22-year military Air Force intel vet. We got cheat codes here, man.
And the UAV, what we call UAVs, people call drones. That's what I did for most of my career. Yeah. And so UAV operations. And so, our Predators, our Reapers, man, that stuff, the technology on those things are way more advanced than what they have.
Yeah.
But the way you defeat a superior military like the U.S. is you come up with cheap, ineffective. You can't beat us in the technology war. So you have to find ways to fight in a way that overcomes the technological advantages, right?
Right.
And flooding people with drones, cheap, easy to make drones, and they're putting like little bombs on these drones and they're dropping them over and it's hard. It's hard to. So think about it from an air defense standpoint. air defense, it works on radar most of the time, right? And so when an airplane is coming in, or missiles coming in, it picks it up, locates it, boom, shoots it down. Well, when you have drones that are flying really low, they're flying below radar detection, right? And it's 50 of them. It's hard to defend against that. And so we're having to think of, how do we defend against what we call a swarm of drones armed with small bombs on them.
Wow. I can't even imagine that.
Yeah. And so essentially what you're going to have to do is you're going to have mechanisms on the ground and your frontline troops that give them the ability to shoot down or take out drones.
Yeah.
And so it's multiple different, tactics and ways and people thinking about doing that. But that is more so what we're interested in doing and seeing. So let's say we give them some of our equipment to use. We can test and see how effective it is against some of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like you said, it's a test situation for us to see, okay, let's test out some tactics and strategies in this new drone war, because this is really the first drone war in world history.
Wow.
And
wow.
Yeah. And we can kind of come in and play a little bit through proxy and see what works and what doesn't work.
Wow. That's, man, Kevin Briggins, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Briggins. I'm getting informed with the rest of y'all, okay?
Hey, man, I love this stuff. I was like, man, we back on. We back in business, man. War. Woo,
Oh, no. Oh, they're going to call you a neocon warmonger. They're going to call you a neocon warmonger, man. You got to watch out.
Hey, man, I just accept the world for what it is. I just accept it for what it is. I mean, people have this idea of utopia and everything is, made of sugar and spice and all things nice. And it's like, that's just not the world we live in. No. And so, yeah. And so you just have to adjust accordingly. Right.
Yeah.
And this is just the world we live in. No matter how bad we want this war to end, which I was really hoping that President Trump was going to be able to negotiate an end to the ceasefire. Just knowing Vladimir Putin and his goals and his agendas, and when you talk about a deal, like I said, President Trump was right to say Zelensky holds no cards in this, because Russia. This is what people don't understand about Russia. They're not like us. We care about people. We care about our soldiers. We salute our soldiers. We take care of them, our military members, and we do our best to bring everybody home as best we can. Russia will be like, no, we got more men to die than you do. And that just sends swarms of people to die, because they're people, they have more to die than you have to die. And they're going to win the war through attrition. And that's what they're doing right now. And so they don't care. And that's why, a lot of people in Russia don't want to send their sons, because like this, Russia will send people out to get shot just so they can see where you're shooting from. Right? They will sacrifice their own people for a strategic or tactical advantage. We don't do that. Right? And so it's just a different mindset. And so Putin doesn't mind the fact that he's losing people. Right? What did he do? He went out and got the Chechens to come fight with him. He got North Koreans in there fighting now. It's just a numbers game, and he knows he has more numbers than the Ukrainians have. And so, at some point, Ukraine won't have enough military-age males to continue to fight, and he knows that. And so he's willing to play this thing out as long as it takes, because that's the Russian way. Wow. It's not about man, we've lost 30,000 men. Man, how can we? No. And then you got state-run media that is only going to give propaganda to the public, right? And so he doesn't have to really worry about this public backlash of, we lost 100,000 men in this war, because on state TV, they're probably going to report the numbers much lower.
Oh, yeah. They're definitely not. Yeah, they're definitely not going to tell the truth on that. That's like trusting, what is it? The Palestinian health authority, or whoever it was, on how many people died.
The Gaza Health Ministry, which is just Hamas.
Yeah, oh, like 30,000 children died. Like, really though?
Yeah.
You're talking about the same people who, who will shoot a video with bodies up under sheets and they still alive. It's really just people pretending, what I'm saying?
Or the same people who claim that Israel struck a hospital and 500 people got killed. And every news organization ran with it until the video came out to show that it was one of their own rockets that failed, that they tried to shoot out from Gaza. It failed and then landed, and it hit the parking lot of the hospital. It didn't even hit the hospital. So there's no way 500 people died in the parking lot, right? And so once all that information came out, it's like, so Reuters, Associated Press, everybody ran with this. 500 people got killed. And that still wasn't enough to teach people that these people lie.
Right. Right.
People are still believing the numbers they're putting out.
That was the thing that got me is, okay, they've done this. They've done multiple things like this, but y'all still put their numbers in a story. Yeah. Why are you doing that? What, like, if it was, I'm just saying, if the shoe was on the other foot, okay? If the shoe was on the other foot, you know how fast, I'm just talking about, how do I say this? The mainstream media, the typical, the ones that lean in a certain direction, okay?
Yeah.
If the shoe was on the other foot, you would get called stupid for trusting the numbers of an organization that clearly has demonstrated that it cannot be trusted. You would be laughed at and called not a serious journalist if you used their numbers after they pulled multiple stunts like that. Why are you still doing it? Must be ideological at that point.
It is 100% ideological. It is 100%. We must be for the oppressed, which in this case is the Palestinians and your oppressor matrix, right?
Yep.
And anything that they do is justified as resistance. And even if their numbers are false and wrong, we must report it because it helps them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
It's ideological because there's no way you can continue to trust the Gaza Health Ministry, which is nothing but Hamas.
Right.
And you know that the more civilian casualties they report, the better it is for them because it puts pressure on Israel from the international community.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And how many people have been screaming genocide?
Oh,
you know?
Oh, I got a rant coming later. About that mess. I mean, actually, we have a couple more things in the show because now all of a sudden a certain someone is on that bus. She's on that bandwagon. Bet y'all can guess who. But yeah, oh my goodness, man. You're right, Matt. And hey, Matt, how you doing, man? You're right. We got to spin that propaganda. That's exactly right. So yeah, I think that I hope that people can see. I hope that more people are kind of waking up to the idea that, hey, when these people are saying that, especially like Russia decides to give some numbers on something. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah,
don't be listening to that.
No, that is the perfect example. It's like believing the numbers coming from Russian state media.
Yeah.
That's the exact same thing.
It is. Why would you do that? You shouldn't do that. Now, people on the left can understand that. They can understand that part.
Yeah.
But as soon as you point it towards Gaza Health Ministry does the same thing. They're doing the same thing. Why do you believe them? Because Free Palestine. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. And I've always found this interesting how, as someone who was in the military and intelligence, right, we had to work really hard, gather intelligence to find out who the bad guys were, right? We did a lot of work to determine, okay, this guy's a bad guy, this guy's not, whatever. It's amazing how all the NGOs over there automatically know, oh, this is a civilian.
Yeah.
Like, how do you know he didn't have his dog tags on him? He wasn't wearing a
Right.
uniform. Like,
Right.
none of those people wear uniforms.
Yeah.
So determining who was civilian, who is not as simple as going up and saying, oh, this person's a civilian, right? And so when they talk about we've had this many civilian casualties, like, how do you know?
Right.
How do you know?
Yeah. Hey, can you share some of that? Can you share some of that combatant identification technology with us, please? Like that.
Yes.
We could really use that.
Yes.
Don't keep it to yourself.
Exactly. And so, just always those non-government organizations, humanitarian organizations, they could always tell you how many civilians were killed as if they know who's a civilian and who's not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild, man. That's wild. So just, folks, you out here. Know.
Matt, it's fun. I'm laughing because Matt mentioned Baghdad Bob, and I was sitting here thinking earlier about making a Baghdad Bob reference, and I chose not to. And then he came in the chat and said it because Baghdad Bob was the best and the worst at the propaganda. He was like, no, there are no American troops in Baghdad. Then behind the camera, you see American troops waving. He was so horrible with the propaganda, man.
So you're gonna have to educate me. Like, I don't even know who Baghdad Bob is.
Yeah, so he was like the spokesperson for the Iraqi military in the Gulf War, in the 2003 war, in the Iraq invasion.
Wow.
And he would do these little press conferences and talk about it. And it's kind of like just the way like the Ayatollah talks now on Twitter. Like, we're strong and we're winning and we're fine. And it was all, he was just saying the things that he's supposed to say, but it was clear none of it was true. But instead of it being on Twitter, X, it was, he had to get in front of the camera and say it, right? He had to get it out there. And it was like, man, they are, I don't know how much he was getting paid to go in front of that camera and just say whatever, but he did it. He did his darndest. Right? He was committed to the line, the company line.
Did they at least give him some gummy bears, man? I mean, was he press secretary Briggins level? I mean,
he was loyal. That's what I'll say. He was loyal to the Saddam Hussein administration.
Well, they were going to shoot him if he wasn't. So
exactly. But that's what state media does, right? It pushes the propaganda, right? It's going to tell you. I mean, Russia propaganda. If you watch Russian TV, well, you have to know to speak Russian. But there are people who will post things and interpret what's being said, and man, it is the craziest stuff you can think of that they put out to their people about what's going on in the war, because they have no way of challenging it. Some don't, and so it's just you have to understand like just what state propaganda media looks like. In the U.S. we have it, but we don't have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have it unofficially because you have news organizations that are party loyal and won't tell the truth if it's going to hurt their particular candidate, right? And they run cover mainly for the Democrat Party. Yeah. And so in a sense we have it, but it's still not like a actual state media that's taking orders from the government that works and is paid by the government, which that's where some of that USAID funding stuff was shady.
That's right.
Because they were funding a lot of these media agencies.
That's right.
So that's why I said we kind of have it, but we don't have it. But it would be like, NPR, PBS, and you're not allowed to have any other news agencies about those. Oh, Canada. When we talk to your boy, Canada has state media.
State-run media. Yeah.
State-run media.
That's right.
Like, that is crazy.
Yeah. and that's why, whenever people try to tell me, oh, like America ain't that special, people got freedom elsewhere. I was like, so they free in Canada? They don't even have a free press. They don't have a free press because the press is dependent on the state. I loved what the free press, I think they tweeted at NPR and they said Happy Independence Day.
That's hilarious.
Dude, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, at first, I was like, what? Who is the Free Press saying Happy Independence Day to? And then I saw the head of NPR, Catherine Marr, up there, and I was like, oh, that's savage. It is. That's a savage. That's a burn right there. Happy Independence Day is like basically like, hey, welcome to the real world.
Yep. Now you got to earn it.
Yep. That's it.
Oh man, the Jim, he came in with his Free Palestine.
I didn't really mean Free Palestine, Jim. I don't know. I don't know if you knew that. I'll just maybe you're being sarcastic. I was being sarcastic. I don't know if you were being sarcastic.
I'll give them the Jay Witt answer. How much is it normally?
Hey, maybe Jim was being sarcastic, man. Maybe he was being sarcastic. I don't know.
I hope so, because I do not want to go down that road.
Oh man. So yes, very very interesting times over there in Ukraine, indeed. I'm glad that we're finding a way to hold up our end of the deal while, like I said, maintaining an enduring interest in maintaining our end of the deal. Because, again, like if you believe in the right to keep and bear arms, then I mean, you should be like, hey, look, if we're gonna pull out, we gotta tell them like, hey, you have nukes again, we're out. Like, if you're gonna do that, you gotta tell them like, hey, y'all do what you want, get rowdy if you want, but we out. That's what you got to say. But you can't say we out, but hey, you still can't have nukes. You can't say that. You can't do that.
To me, it's just about being about our word. I mean, we promised them that we would do this.
That's right.
We do, and they cooperated, and we still trying to not live up to our end of the bargain. Kind of like Gaddafi. I was not a Gaddafi fan in Libya, but after 9/11, George Bush went on a rampage, and he was like, either you with us or you're against us. And he had his whole axis of evil speech, right? And Libya was in there. And Gaddafi was like, I don't want no smoke, man. Hey, here go my chemical weapons. Here go whatever, right? Then at the end of the day, it still didn't save him because we still ended up assisting the uprising against him. Yeah. Right. And so it's one of those things of, I'll compare it to this. There's a reason we treat prisoners of war well, because we want them to surrender and cooperate, right? If word gets out that if you surrender to the U.S. military, they torture you, beat you, and kill you, then no one will surrender to us, right?
That's right.
It's kind of like that with us keeping our word. When we say, hey, you give up your chemical weapons and we won't have no smoke with you.
Yeah.
We need to live up to that. Hey,
that's right.
Give up your weapons, and if Russia attacks you in the future, we'll come to your aid. We need to live up to that, because in the future, no one will listen to us and do what we want them to do, right? You have to hold up your end of the bargain if you want people in the future to cooperate with you. And so regardless of this whole stupid America First mindset, and I'm calling it stupid, not because the premise of America First is stupid, but the way people are trying to implement it and what they're trying to mean by it is stupid. It's very ignorant to the world, because they don't understand this. We cannot simply shrink back from the world, give up all of our responsibilities, I'll call them, right? Things and promises we've made, and alliances we've made, treaties we've made. We can't just walk back from that and then think that's not going to affect our place in the world, right? They want to have their cake and eat it too. They think America can remain America without our foreign intervention and expansion. But guess what? Guess who knows that we can't? China knows that. Russia knows that. Al-Qaeda knew that. That's what they were trying to end, right? Everyone wants to end the U.S. hegemony. U.S. world power is what everyone wants to end. And we've got crazy, ill-informed people in our own country trying to end it from within.
Right.
Right? It's like, no. You do not Put like this. Maintaining our world dominance isn't going to end the U.S. empire. But people are trying to end the U.S. empire voluntarily by calling it America first. Like, no, that's not America first. America first is to continue to exert our dominance through the world.
And
because if we don't, someone else will.
I will say, for all those who hear that word, Kevin doesn't mean empire literally, but when we talk about the influence of America, people in other countries recognize the benefits of America's influence because of the ideals of America.
We have a soft empire, right?
Right.
You got to think. I mean, think of everywhere we have military bases, right? Mm-hmm. Now they're an ally. We're not occupying anyone. We're there because by invitation they want us there. It's through treaties and stuff.
Right.
But we're still all over the world.
Right.
And people allow us in their country because there's some benefit to it for them.
That's right.
And so we have a empire, but not through force like a typical empire would be. We're not conquering people and establishing our dominance, right? No, we're doing it through our influence. We're doing it through our military, basically alliances.
Yeah.
And we're doing it through our money, right?
Yeah.
And so that is what has created the American empire. And there are people who are trying to end it. Our enemies have always tried to end it, but now we got people inside the country trying to end it because they think some kind of way tearing all that down and bringing everybody back and everything back inside our own borders is some kind of way going to make America better or greater or great again.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not how that's going to work.
And I think that you're seeing Trump realize that. I think we're watching him realize that. I also think that I'm almost convinced now that some of the wave of that attitude in America is actually a product of foreign influence, them trying to push that narrative here and get more and more people on the bandwagon with that way of thinking here.
Look, there is no one who can defeat the U.S. military in a actual hot war. And so what you do is you try to have a Cold War. Mm-hmm. You have a war of propaganda. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to bring us down through, China's, and we're in an economic Cold War with China, right? China's trying to challenge us economically through their Belt Road Initiative. They're trying to challenge us in the South China Sea. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to challenge us with BRICS, right? That is the fight we're fighting right now. The ideological fight within our own country. Look how many people in our own country, look at the younger generation and how many of them hate their own country.
That's right.
Right. How many of them are wearing, Palestinian keffiyehs,
right? And,
screaming, free Palestine and supporting Hamas, Tucker Carlson going over, right? Interviewing Putin, talking about how great Moscow is and how clean it is. Oh, the subways. Oh, they could check out a cart with a quarter. Like this is amazing. Like, you idiot. That is Hanoi Jane. That is Jane Fonda level propaganda in Vietnam. Yeah. Right. And then he goes and has a softball interview with the president of Iran. Right. So our enemies are great. They're great. They're lovely, man. But Ted Cruz is the problem.
Ted Cruz, he just stupid. He don't even know the population of
Yeah.
What was it? What was it? Was it the population of
Iran?
Yeah.
But he didn't ask the president of Iran what's the population of Israel that he wants to destroy and wipe off the map.
No.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we have people working against the interest of our own country and siding with our enemies and then claiming they're America first.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it has been very interesting to watch Tucker Carlson's turn. Not as blatant and ham-handed as Candace Owens, who we will get to. But I saw today on Twitter, or on X, excuse me, where Tucker Carlson called Daryl Cooper the most honest historian of our time.
Yeah, he said that when he had him on the first time. That's how he introduced him. That's how he introduced him.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
What?
And they know he just had him back on, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. He was having him back on and saying, hey, I'm having, Daryl Cooper, the most honest historian of our time, back on the show to talk about, and I'm just like, dude, what? Are you kidding me? This is and so it's really hard for me to believe that Tucker actually believes these things because they're so crazy. It's hard for me to believe he actually believes.
He does. I think he does. Because that's why we call it the woke right, man.
Yeah.
Once you stop believing in the system, once you start believing that everything that you were ever taught was a lie, you open yourself up to believe and grab onto any kind of alternative history, right? Regardless of how crazy it is, regardless of how, no matter how many historians come out and say that is completely wrong, right? You're going to believe the alternative because you believe that there's been some Jewish deep state that has taken us over since World War II, and everything that we know about that point forward is tainted, and we got to go back and uncover the truth. And we realize, oh man, the truth was there the whole time. We just wasn't listening to these guys because we got told they were bad. Yeah, they're Nazis.
Right.
They are bad.
Right.
Like, no, man, you don't understand. The Nazis were good. It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole shift, and if kind of still on the topic of Ukraine, remember who was the loudest mouth, the loudest one, basically coming out with this opinion that somehow something nefarious was going on in Ukraine, and us back in Ukraine was some. There's some sort of conspiracy and we're not being told the truth and all that. Tucker Carlson, he was leading the charge on that.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest megaphone, the loudest voice of all of them was him.
Yeah.
And I watched as he continued to talk about that, how many people on the right started to go that route. Now, listen, I am not making an endorsement of bleeding heart liberals who decided all of a sudden that Ukraine was the most important cause in the world. And like basically it was a signal as to whether or not you were a liberal or a progressive, was whether or not you had a Ukraine flag in your bio or heck, had a Ukraine flag in your front yard. Literally, I have driven past people's houses in the area I live in, and they had Ukrainian flags out in front of yard. Now, we do have Ukrainian immigrants. There might have been Ukrainian immigrants, okay? All right? So I'm not saying that that's not a possibility. I know Ukrainians, and I know they feel very strongly about it. Mad respect. I would feel pretty daggum strongly about it too, right? But it became another thing. It became the same thing as the mask, right? As the COVID mask. If you supported Ukraine, it was a sign that you were a good liberal.
On the right side. Yep.
And so, yeah, that's just...
And think about it. Would you ever think that the political right would be anti-war isolationist and the political left would be pro-war?
Right.
Like, it's just crazy to see how that flipped.
As Michael Scott would say, how the turntables have turned.
Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not trying to say that I'm not making an endorsement of blindly supporting Ukraine. We've given you guys the reasons why we actually have an obligation, a contractual obligation. We gave our word that we would do this. So we have an obligation to do this. It's very different from your average, person on the left with the Ukraine flag in their bio on X, that they don't know why. It's just a cultural thing for them. We're explaining why, but we're also not like, it's not the end all be all greatest cause in the world. Now, I will say, absolutely, do I hate the fact that Russia came in there and did all that stuff? Yeah, I hate that. I'm not saying that Zelensky is some saint, but it's pretty easy for me to tell who the bad guy is in this story.
Yeah. Putin had no reason or justification for going into Ukraine. None. He did it in 2014.
Nope.
No justification. He did it again. Right.
Yeah.
This isn't hard to understand. This isn't like, well, it's kind of gray. I'm kind of confused, And this is what I'll say too. First of all, props to the Ukrainian people for fighting the way they've been fighting.
Oh yeah.
For 3 years. I mean, they are against a bigger, more armed force, and they have held their own to a stalemate for 3 years. That's not easy.
No.
And we've supplied them with some weapons and some other things to help them out. But at the end of the day, they're doing the fighting.
Yeah.
And so props to them. But at the same time, there's a reason that large nations run proxy wars against their enemies, right? We benefit from this. Russia has been exposed militarily. And not just exposed in terms of their lack of capability and ability to actually run an effective war, but they've lost a lot of stuff. They lost a lot of men. They lost a lot of equipment. It's hurt their economy. Like, Russia has been hurt severely by this. People complain about, oh, look how much money we've spent in Ukraine. How much money do you think Russia spent?
Right. Right.
Right. And we have a whole lot more than they do. Right. They are bleeding. Men, equipment, weapons, like everything. The only thing is they can outlast the Ukrainians, especially if we don't help the Ukrainians. But Russia, we have benefited from this. We now realize, and NATO realized, that Russia really is no longer a military threat. They're still a nuclear threat, and we can't forget that. But in terms of the Russian bear, this military capability, and Russia's going to take their army and come across Eastern Europe, and no, man, they can't even beat Ukraine in a head-to-head fight, And this isn't like the U.S. and Afghanistan or Iraq, where we come in, we dominated their militaries, destroyed them in a couple of weeks, and took over the country. And then you had what we call, guerrilla warfare, unconventional warfare took over, right? Insurgencies and stuff like that. That is a different type of fighting, because now you're no longer fighting a military force on force. You're fighting a guy in jeans and a t-shirt who's going to pop out of a window of an apartment building and fire a rocket at you, or set up a IED in the roadway, and when you come down, he's going to detonate it. That type of stuff is way different than what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. This is army on army, force on force, and Russia can't defeat them. Russia can't beat them. And that is just kind of shown the world that Russia is not who we thought they were, And so they have the technology, they have the toys, their Air Force, they've got what we call 5th gen fighters and stuff like that. But their army, their fighting, and the ability to actually put together a war plan and carry it out, nah, they are not who we thought they were. And so what does that do for us? It makes us say, okay, we don't have to put a lot of resources toward Russia,
right?
Because they're not a big threat. NATO, y'all can handle this without us. We can focus on China, who's the real threat, right? And so us supporting Ukraine and doing this to Russia, put like this, nobody would love for us to cut off funding to Ukraine more than Russia and Putin.
Absolutely.
That is who, when you call for that, that is who you're really helping. Now we benefited from this in the chessboard. You know, on the chessboard, this is a move that was low cost to us. You know, we're not losing people. We don't have people dying. You know, we're not losing any of our own weapons and equipment and, you know, aircraft. We're simply funding an insurgency or military, I should say, a country to fight to defend themselves. And so people's inability to see this because of some type of America first, as if we weren't, you know, sending this money to Ukraine, we could be doing all this stuff in our own country. That wouldn't happen.
No,
it wouldn't happen.
You know what's crazy though? You know what's crazy for all the people who say that? It's just like, okay, so you communist though? Because basically it's government money. Are you saying that like the government should be using that money to be doing more government benefit stuff? It's like, you know, if you're on the right and you're saying that, I'm just like, you a commie though? Like, what, are you a socialist? Because that's what you're advocating.
Like, it's like that meme that's going around. It's like, none of your problems in life is because someone else is a billionaire. It's the same thing. None of your problems in life are because we sent money to Ukraine.
No,
it just isn't.
No,
no, it just isn't, because if we weren't sending money to Ukraine, that wouldn't lower your tax rate.
Right.
It just wouldn't. They're not going to lower your tax rate
if
we're not sending money to Ukraine. They're just going to spend that money somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so,
the reality is you want your tax rate to go down. We got to start touching them entitlements. But people on the left and the right don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. But yeah, man, Ukraine's back in business. You know, they're not getting defunded. They're getting funded more. And we're going to give them some more Patriot missiles to help them out with some of that stuff. That's what I'm curious to see. If we you know, load them up with Patriot missiles and Russia comes flying in there and gets shot down, man, that's going to turn the tide.
Those 5th gen fighters ain't cheap.
Oh no. And no, never mind. That was Iran. I was thinking about the airplanes. They got hit on the runway. That was Israel taking out Iran's fighters, but not. I mean, but no. Ukraine did. Ukraine did take out a lot of Russian bombers. I don't know if you remember. So
that's right. Yeah, they went across the border and did that, right?
Yeah, they staged drones inside of Russia and did a drone attack inside Russia and took out a bunch of their bombers and stuff.
Yep.
And so yeah.
That's awesome.
Man, Ukraine's back in business.
Back in the game, baby. Back in the game. Go ahead and smack Putin for me, because we got to turn our eyes over to the east.
Yeah, let's do
Winnie
it.
The Pooh. Oh man. So what else we got, man? What else we got?
So another conflict going on in the world. Israel is still doing Israel things. And so people got surprised because they dropped a couple of bombs on Damascus the other day. And so our buddy Chuck Holton, which I hope to have Chuck on the show one day. He does a great job. For those who don't know who Chuck Holton is, he's a war correspondent for multiple outlets, but mainly CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network. And he goes all over the world to these war zones and reports. And he's a former Army Ranger, just cool story. And so we had him on the Center for Biblical Unity stuff that I do. We had him on to talk about immigration, because he was on the ground reporting on the migrant crisis. And so we got him on to talk about that. In this video, he's reporting from Israel because that's where he is now. And so he made a video that I thought would be very, very good for us to look at, and tell us, okay, what is going on with Israel and Syria? And why is Israel all of a sudden bombing Syria? Are they just trying to bomb everybody, you know? And so, And so I thought Chuck did a good job of breaking it down, explaining what's going on, because he's there, he's on the ground. And so I thought people would be blessed by his reporting on this.
Awesome. Well, let's take a look at what Chuck has to say.
شوف يا شباب.
Bombing, guys. New bombing. New bombing, guys. New bombing. The building is completely destroyed. New bombing, guys. Bombing. Get us out quickly. Quickly.
Wow.
Hey everybody, Chuck Holton here. This is your quick update on the war in the Middle East for Thursday, July 17th, 2025. Israel launched its most intense bombing campaign in Syria in over a decade, and it targeted multiple regime military compounds across Damascus and its suburbs, over 200 airstrikes. One of them hit the 4th Division's headquarters, hit some weapons depots, infrastructure near the Ministry of Defense and the General Staff buildings. Explosions were felt across the capital in Damascus. And down in southern Syria, Israeli warplanes were also bombing regime positions near Sueda.
The occupying forces aircraft conduct more than one airstrike targeting vehicles and forces of the Ministry of Interior, which had entered to secure people's lives and restore order and stability to the area. This is the targeting by preoccupation aircraft, which hinders the restoration of security and safety inside the Sueda area.
So this guy's Syrian forces, right? What kind of aircraft did he say did this?
Occupying aircraft. Yes.
Yeah, occupying aircraft. If that lets you know what their position is on Israel, there it is.
Yeah.
Right? It isn't the occupiers, right? So you want to know why Israel isn't trusting these guys to take over Syria and be friendly neighbors with them. That's a hint right there.
Yeah. That's a pretty good hint. Pretty, I understood the language. I was picking up what he was putting down.
Yeah.
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 I wouldn't trust him either.
Yeah. I just play.
The Syrian forces had been carrying out door-to-door raids and executions in Druze neighborhoods. Now, locals report that some troops wore ISIS insignias during the attack. Meanwhile, Golani forces have been shelling the city of Sueda, and that further escalates the sort of siege of the city. Sueda's hospitals are shut down, roads are blocked, energy and water are cut off, and the region is really in a full-scale communication blackout. Tens of thousands of civilians are fleeing south toward the Jordanian border as food and medical supplies start to run out.
We are also operating in Syria today, since the morning. We have a commitment to keep the southwestern Syria area as a demilitarized zone on the Israel border. We will not allow a situation to return where a second Lebanon is established there, and we are also committed to protecting the Druze residents. We are doing this through intensive actions. I hope we won't have to take further action. It greatly depends on what is understood and both done and not done in Damascus.
Now, Wednesday, Syria's interim president.
So I thought that was really important what he said, right? So this is telling you what Israel is doing and what their goal is. Their goal is to set up a DMZ, which is basically a buffer zone between them and the Syrian regime. They want southern Syria to be a DMZ, which is where there are no Syrian forces, there are no Israeli forces, right? And just let it be a buffer zone between us. And so what they're doing is they're hitting anything below a certain line, right? Because they want Syria to bring their forces back up towards Damascus. Because he's saying we don't want it to be another Lebanon. For those who don't know, southern Lebanon got taken over by Hezbollah decades ago. And what they would do is they would use southern Lebanon as a staging ground for rockets to launch rockets into Israel, right? And what Benjamin Netanyahu is saying, he's saying we will not let southern Syria on our border become what Lebanon was. And so that is why they are bombing, and on top of protecting the Druze in this area, because a lot of Druze also live in Israel. And so you have Druze in Israel, you have Druze in Syria as an ethnic minority and religious minority. and they're being targeted by the Syrian regime and these Bedouins that they're getting in the fight with. And so Israel is trying to stop the Syrian militias. I don't even call it the military. It's more of a militia at this point. They're not really a full military. Stopping the government forces from going in there and attacking and assaulting the Druze. And so Israel is just trying to push them back to Damascus. And so,
yeah, that makes sense. I did not know who the Druze were today. I was like, are they spelling Jews really weird? What is what is this? I was completely ignorant up until maybe like 5 or 6 hours ago.
Jelani said regime forces would begin withdrawing from Ceuta.
I specifically mentioned our Druze people who are an integral part of the fabric of this nation. We assure you that protecting your rights and freedom is our priority.
The U.S. State Department confirmed it had urged Syrian authorities to de-escalate.
We are calling on the Syrian government to, in fact, withdraw their military in order to enable all sides to de-escalate and find a path forward.
Now, despite that announcement, opposition groups and the Druze leadership inside Syria are still skeptical of Damascus' intentions. Protests have spread beyond Syria, though. In Israel, there were thousands of Druze demonstrators gathered up near the border with Syria and actually crossing into Syria and trying to go help their brethren inside Syria. And at the embassy in Jerusalem, there were a few dozen protesters also from the Druze minority that were accusing the Syrian regime of carrying out sectarian killings, calling on the American administration to stop engaging with al-Sharaa and other Syrian authorities.
It's the time to talk directly to the American administration, saying that it's not a business, it's not a deal. You cannot make a deal with a person that is a killer. That what he knows is only to kill people, and to kill people that are different than him.
Meanwhile, they think a breakthrough may be emerging in Gaza. Wednesday night, Hamas expressed its willingness to sign a comprehensive ceasefire and prisoner exchange deal and agreed to release 10 Israeli hostages. So that is progress. The sticking point here is that, like in previous rounds, that had been Israel's demand for a phased military withdrawal, which Hamas initially rejected. But Israel has now submitted a revised plan, and sources say both sides are closer than ever to a temporary deal. A senior Israeli official said the parties could reach agreement within 1 to 2 weeks. If a 60-day ceasefire is finalized, negotiations on a permanent truce could continue during that window. Now, Israel still insists that Hamas disarm as a part of any long-term deal and warns that if Hamas refuses, military operations are going to continue to incrementally grow across the Strip. The Palestinian Authority President, Mahmoud Abbas, has asked to participate in these talks and has argued that the PA should be involved in any future governance and security arrangements in Gaza. Washington has not responded to that. We'll see what happens. In Israel's own government, there's more instability. Wednesday, we reported that the ultra-Orthodox party had resigned from the cabinet, and that took Netanyahu's government down to 61 seats out of 120. Well, now another.
Yeah. So that's Chuck Holton. Go check out his stuff. He reports daily on this type of stuff. It's probably the best channel out there reporting on what's going on the ground. But yeah, so like I said, recap what's going on in Syria. You had a conflict between the Druze and these Bedouins. The government got involved, and according to reports, they were going door to door in these Druze neighborhoods and taking out, people and having executions and stuff. And this is what I'll say about the Syrian government. I do believe that the guy in charge, I forgot his name, I do believe that he wants normalized relations with the U.S. and the West, and he wants to be a legitimate president of the country, and he wants to survive. He wants his regime to survive. But at the same time, I don't believe he has full control and authority of everyone in his army / militia on the ground. And so do I believe that certain people are doing things that are very malicious and killing people who aren't the right religion or ethnic background? I do. But that doesn't mean that it's coming as orders from the top down. You just got a bunch of crazy jihadists that sometimes act rogue, and so Israel basically was bombing them to stop them to get them to leave this town so they could leave the Druze alone, and also to push them above a certain line because, as Netanyahu said, they're trying to create a demilitarized zone, a DMZ, between them and the Syrian regime, who they don't trust, because even if someone was former Al-Qaeda or former ISIS, they might have dropped their affiliations. They might have said they've moderated some, but I guarantee you they will never probably be a friend of Israel, right? As you heard that guy call it the occupation aircraft, right? That's their narrative. That's their worldview, is that Israel is an occupying force in Muslim lands. It's not even about ethnicity, even though they don't like Jews, but it is about it's about Muslim lands, right? You can't ever forget the religious aspect to this stuff, right? And so that is what Israel's goal is. So people look at Israel as this aggressor, but at the end of the day, what Israel is doing is setting up for their defense and their survival, right? They took southern Lebanon years ago and never gave it back because it was for their defense, not because they wanted southern Lebanon. They're doing the same thing in Syria right now because they're trying to set up for their own defense. They're trying to keep people who hate them far enough away from their cities so they're not in range to launch rockets into their cities. They've also destroyed a lot of former Syrian military equipment so that it doesn't fall into the hands of this new regime, right? Like legit capable military equipment, rockets, rocket launchers. Like they said, they hit weapon depots. They are trying to make this regime not a threat to them, right? And so it's all about defense. They're not trying to steal Syria. They're not trying to even force regime change. They're trying to create a buffer zone, and they're trying to protect some of the religious and ethnic minorities in the southern part of the country. So that's kind of a breakdown of what's going on in Israel. Once again, they're not perfect, but Israel is the good guys. Israel isn't the bad guys. They aren't the enemy.
I don't know. There's some people you might need to tell them. You might need to remind them. We'll talk about them in a little bit.
It's just like, man, I don't know what these people are drinking, right? Yeah. And so I'm going to go on my little Israel rant before we get to the person who is just completely off their rocker. So I got into a Twitter exchange with someone, don't know who they were, but they were very pro-Palestinians in Gaza. And they called it a genocide, and they called it an apartheid state. And I'm like, Israel is not an apartheid state. You have Arabs and Muslims who live in Israel as full citizens, right? So, in Israel, now you have Jews and you have Arabs or Muslims, right? So Israel has 9 million citizens and 2 million of them are Muslims, right? But even in the 7 million Jews, about half of those Jews are what we call, we would consider more European descent. And the other half are actually Arab descent. They're Jews, but you have to remember that when Israel was formed in 1948, all of the Arab countries began to persecute and kick out Jews out of their country. And so all the Jews from all around the Arab world, right, they all came and moved to the new country, the new state of Israel. And so these aren't European. It wasn't just European-based Jews that came. It was also Jews from the Arab world. So when you look at the 7 million Jews that are in Israel, about half of those are actually Arab Jews, right? And so if you really look at, there are more Arab descendant people in Israel than there are what we call European more descendant Jews. And so there is no apartheid state in Israel, right? Muslims, Jews, Arabs, they all have the same rights. They all share, you have Muslim people. It's a Muslim on their Supreme Court, right? There is no apartheid state within Israel, right? Gaza is what it is because of Hamas. Gaza is a terrorist zone because it's led by a terrorist organization who is hell-bent on the destruction of the Jewish state. It is hell-bent on reclaiming land that they lost, 70, 80 years ago. And so Israel put up a wall to keep those people out, because if you recall, in the 90s and the early 2000s, you had waves and waves of suicide bombings in Israel cities. Their public buses were being bombed by suicide bombers. And all of these bombers were coming from places like Gaza. And so Israel built the walls. Like, oh yeah, we'll just keep y'all out. But then even with that, Israel still ran a guest worker program where people could live in Gaza, come into Israel through checkpoints and for work, and then go back, right? And so this idea that Israel's is apartheid state just isn't true. Israel's just setting up its defense because people around them want to kill them, right? And so that's my kind of, I guess my rant against the narrative that is painted about what Israel is and what Israel's goals are and their intentions. Now, if you want to go over to the West Bank, that's a little bit different. In terms of, so there were no Jews in Gaza. There just weren't. But there are Jews in the West Bank. There are Israeli citizens in the West Bank. There are disputes over land in the West Bank. That's a whole different story, because you're talking about the West Bank is what we know as Judea and Samaria. And it's hard to tell, especially a lot of Orthodox Jews, that Judea and Samaria are not part of Israel. But right now, those areas are kind of split, shared territory between them and the Palestinians, the Palestinian Authority over there. And so you get your clashes, you get your scuffles that break out. There's disputes over land still there. For instance, the city of Bethlehem is in Palestinian control, not Israel control. So there are historic portions of the land we would call Israel that still don't belong to Israel, if that makes sense. And so the West Bank is way more contentious and complicated than Gaza. Gaza was just handed over to all the Palestinians in 2005. Israel pulled all their citizens out and said, here you go, you can have it. And in 2006, the people of Gaza elected Hamas to be their leaders. And it's been downhill from there. And so that is the situation on the ground. That is the situation in which Israel finds itself in. That is the situation, if we don't talk about what is the solution moving forward, that is the situation. There is no genocide taking place. There is no apartheid state within Israel. The West Bank and Gaza are not part of Israel. And so that's kind of what I would lay out as the framework for understanding what is Israel, what is going on, and how does these Palestinian areas work. And and I'll just say this too, just for people to understand how fraudulent this idea of a Palestinian state is, or there's a such thing as a Palestinian people. Because in 1948, when Israel declared itself a state, Gaza was controlled and owned by Egypt, and the West Bank. This is the thing, it's called the West Bank, but it's on the east side of Israel. Why is it called the West Bank? Because it's the West Bank from Jordan. Jordan controlled that area and called it the West Bank. So Jordan controls the West Bank. Egypt controls Gaza, right? In 1967, those two countries attacked Israel. And when they attacked Israel, they lost. And when they lost control of those areas, right? Israel took all the way down to the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt, right? And so these people keep losing land because they keep attacking Israel and losing. And then they cry victim. But this is the thing. When Jordan was controlling the West Bank, when Egypt was controlling Gaza from 48 to 67, no one called them Palestinians and no one talked about a Palestinian state. This has all been a new propaganda movement to create a victim narrative for the people that live there, right? You know, those people belong to Egypt and those people on this side belong to Jordan, you know, and they started a war that they lost. And now all of a sudden, these people that are left there are called Palestinians. No, they're not. There's no such thing as a Palestinian, you know? Wow. And so just throwing it out there, because I'm so tired of the propaganda. I'm so tired of the false narratives and them playing on people's heartstrings and thinking that, oh, these poor people. It's like, no. Ask yourself, why does Egypt block their border with Gaza? Why don't let those people come in free? Just come on in and go back and forth and work and live, because they don't like them. You know, the Palestinians went into Lebanon, right? You talk about Lebanon and launching rockets and all this kind of stuff. They went into southern Lebanon and caused the same problems. And now the people of Lebanon don't like them. Like nobody wants to deal with these people, right? And Israel has to deal with them. And people get upset with Israel because Israel has to deal with them, but no one will hold them accountable for themselves. Nobody holds these people accountable, right? Nobody holds Hamas accountable for, number one, their leadership becoming filthy rich since 2006, because they take the aid that comes in that we give and the UN gives, and they control it through their shell companies, right, and their NGOs. And now all of those people are very, very wealthy. We don't hold them accountable for spending how much money on a tunnel system that is larger than the New York subway system, right? And it's not for any civilian use. It's only for their military Hamas purposes, right? We don't blame them for not building their economy. We don't blame them for burning down the greenhouses that the Jews left for them when they pulled out so they can grow food and stuff. They burned them all down because they were the Jews. But this is how bad it was. Most people don't know this. When Israel left Gaza in 2005, they forced their own citizens to leave at gunpoint. They forced them out. But this was crazy. They didn't just force their citizens out. The Jews dug up their own dead people and took them out of Gaza because they knew if they left them there, what they would do to them. They had to remove the graves because they knew they would be defiled. That's how strong the hate is. But nobody wants to talk about that. They had to dig up the graves of their own people and move them out of the land because they didn't want them to be defiled. That's how psycho, crazy, nutcase these people are. And that's what Israel has to live next to and deal with. And when Israel responds, we want to make Israel the bad guys. And nobody wants to hold these crazy people accountable for themselves. And now, you know, Israel is fed up. It's like, okay, no more. And now we're saying, oh, it's a genocide, and oh, how Israel could, and we need a ceasefire. It's like, no, let those people get what they've been asking for. Because that's the only way you're going to get peace. There is no peace living next to those people in the current state. It's just no way. And so that is just the situation that Israel is living under. So if you want to know why Israel does the things that they do, that is why. Because they have, it's almost like if Mexico, imagine the cartels believe that Texas belonged to them. Texas is really Mexico. And they have a right to return. They're going to free Mexico from the Gulf to whatever, you know. That's their chant, right? And their whole mission in life is to die for this cause of freeing the land of the Texans and returning it to Mexico. right? We wouldn't put up with that. We wouldn't live with them coming into San Antonio and blowing up stuff and bombing the Riverwalk and launching rockets from the border of Mexico. We wouldn't deal with any of that. But that's what Israel has to live next to. We don't have bunkers in our homes here. Israel have to have bunkers in their home because they get so many missile attacks. Imagine your normal life when you go look for a house. You're looking at the roof. How many bedrooms does it have? And then the other thing I go do is check out the bomb cellar to see if it's good and adequate enough space for your family. That is the situation these people live under. And so let's just be real. Let's just be real. Let's be honest about what's going on over there and make judgments according to what the truth is, and not this narrative that you got these poor oppressed people over there when those people have caused their own troubles. Because if they had just simply decided to live as peaceful neighbors to Israel, Gaza could be booming. They're on the Mediterranean Sea. They're on the same Gulf or the same coastline as Tel Aviv, which is one of the most prosperous cities. Gaza is on the same coastline of the Mediterranean, and it's a trash heap because that's how they made it. That's what they've chosen to do with it. And so these people need to be held accountable for their own actions. And they're not victims in this. That's what I'll say.
Man, that was gold.
End of rant.
That was gold, and I agree with you, A.E. Rogers. We do need to clip that out because that was very informative. And there, as you were talking about it, I was thinking about some people I wanted to send it to. I was like, man, I wonder how much hate I would get if I sent this to this person.
Man, I mean, I know some large accounts on X I want to send it to because, man, the stuff they put out is just trash.
Yeah.
It's just trash. Like, you do not understand the situation on the ground over there. And none of those people would live in a place where they had to deal with that next door.
No.
They just wouldn't.
No. I mean, you're exactly right. We've made the comparison before. If Mexico did what Hamas did in Israel,
it wouldn't exist anymore.
Nobody would be able to stop us from throwing them hands. Nobody.
No.
And it would be over fast. I mean, we would roll in there and we would smash everything. It would be over so fast, and they would be speaking English in that region from that point on. Like that is what would be happening there. But you know what's crazy, man? I promise you there would be some people on the other side of the aisle who would say, no, you know what? That is Mexico's land, and we need to give it to them.
What are you talking about? We got these crazy nut job progressive leftist college students talking about we on stolen land still.
Oh, yeah. And I thought about that, and I was like, you know what? Some of those jokers will probably drive down there and try to form a human chain or something. Before the bullets start flying, at least. They probably go try to do that stupidness. I mean, man, I could see them doing it, man. I could see them doing it. Oh, man. I could see AOC having some words on that. Oh, my goodness, man. Oh, my gosh. Let me stop. We got some more things to get through. That was absolute gold. But we do have
I just wanted to frame out the situation. I just wanted to frame it out. So
that's
people
fantastic.
Understand.
No, you did a great job, man. Again, ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Briggins. I mean, this dude is he's going off. All right. So there's some other big news though. Back home here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we may have to give old DJ Trizzy, we might have to give him his cookies, man. Cause
I'm telling you, man, every press conference he needs to walk out to, all I do is win, no matter what. Like that just needs to be his theme song. Right? And he just comes to the podium like, man, I just keep winning. Because everybody clowned him, told him he was horrible, And the numbers say otherwise.
I mean, look, I was one of the people who was like, I'm anti-tariff. The deals he wound up, we did say that what he was using this for was to try to get to better trade agreements. And there were some places where, I mean, you saw it. We weren't even allowed in their markets. We weren't even allowed in their markets.
There was so much room to improve U.S. trade that we weren't doing.
Yeah.
Right. We had pretty much almost just gave that up to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And just became like a laughingstock punching bag for the rest of the world in terms of trade, because we kept taking the L's on a lot of trade deals, mainly to benefit, I mean, the U.S. economy, yes, but mainly to benefit U.S. corporations who was really benefiting from a lot of globalization and a lot of low, tariffs and stuff like that. And then you can say the American people, because we got cheaper products and all this type of stuff, right? There's a whole economic philosophy behind it. But at the end of the day, we were leaving a lot on the table in terms of what the U.S. could be getting in tariffs in these trade agreements, right? It's like we're taking the short end of the stick for no reason, and Trump just basically realized that it's like, hold up, we're leaving a lot of money on the table,
Yeah.
And it's paid off so far.
Yep. So we got a little video to see what old Fox News has to say about it.
And of course, President Trump is correct. MAGA is on a roll right now. They are accomplishing an enormous amount. And whatever, this kerfuffle about Jeffrey Epstein and whatever secrets may or may not be hidden by the government today, can't cloud out the extraordinary accomplishments of this administration. And as you point out about the transparency, it's also important to remember, and I know you remember this because we talk about it all the time, there has been extraordinary transparency from this government, from the Trump administration. And you can point to things like the border, which I think is the single greatest accomplishment, kept promise of any candidate who has ever run for public office. It is extraordinary what Trump has done at the border, and that's what he ran his campaign on. Another thing that he ran the campaign on was tariffs. And he promised that he was going to rewire the way the economy works in hopes of it being a better place for people who work, a better place for young people, working class people. I hate the word working class, but working people who don't make as much money and want to get a purchase into the American dream. And his payoff for the month of June, the federal government ran a massive $27 billion surplus, which is for the month of June, which is an extraordinary thing. The fact that we're running a surplus at all, and when you look back and think about all the poo-pooing that the media did, and all of the economic experts who said this would never happen and Trump was going to destroy the economy, they are all been proved wrong by this one man, Donald Trump.
I mean, look at these headlines, CNBC. By the way, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, these are all the money experts. They were saying tariffs are going to raise much less money than the White House projects. Donald Trump, and this, by the way, reminds me of the situation of the border, where he was told by, all the experts and all the consultants, you're going to lose the Hispanic vote if you want to close the border. If you talk about, deporting people. That's not true. It turns out Hispanics believe in rule of law.
And that you could never close the border.
And that was the other thing. He said, yes, you can if you put your mind to it. He knew that because he kind of was already getting there. In 2020, we had, before he left office, we had the first time, we had the safest border we had ever seen. but now we're down to like 0, like nobody's crossing the border. But look at these headlines of all the naysayers saying that Donald Trump's idea of tariffs would destroy the economy, would not result in anything.
Yeah, that was then, and this is now, right?
So on April 1, CNBC says tariffs will likely raise much less money than the White House projects, economists say. On Friday, CNBC, Treasury posts unexpected surplus in June as tariff receipts surge. Reuters on April 4th, Trump tariff now so fears of trade wars, recession, and a $2,300 iPhone. Thursday, last week, U.S. customs duties top $100 billion for the first time in a fiscal year.
It's incredible. And again, they predicted, Kevin, trade wars that we would be, the pariah of the economic world, that nobody would want to work with us, that we'd lose. It's not true.
Not true. And not only not true, it goes back to what Scott Bessent, I think, told you. I was watching one of the shows, and he said, I don't follow what the media and the so-called experts say. I follow the trends in the market. He knew what he was doing. He has proven it over and over and over. And you know what? Howard Lutnick and the president's brain trust really has collectively decided we are going to do things differently. It worked back, as you said, from 2016 to 2020, save for the COVID pandemic, which, of course, is a black swan event. They were certainly moving things in the right direction. And they, again, believe that if you follow this track, now, if we can only somehow get the if we can get the Fed to get on board with this and lower rates, and maybe they have to move off of Powell, but that's a separate story. But the fact is, if you look what they've done so far, and we're only, as you mentioned, 6 months in, imagine what we'll be like, say, 6 months from now. And I'll put this out there. If we can get the rates down and they keep moving in this direction, 2026 will be the greatest economic year for this country ever. And I can make that confidently make that prediction because we've seen this play out before. And there's a reason that it works. Add all that plus the surplus and the tariffs, I think great days are ahead. Just got to keep it rolling. Keep it going.
More tariffs coming. He's saying to Mexico, for example, in August, if we're gonna impose tariffs there. What's he gonna do with all this money? Does it go right into the deficit reduction? Will he use it, for example? I know that the big beautiful bill got, I think, $12 billion towards the air traffic control system, the New York, but they need $30 billion. So will another 15 or 16 billion go towards that? Can they get that money from there? What happens with this? That's an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it does go towards debt relief, but it also goes into the general fund. And the thing that I think is so important to remember is that for decades, conservatives have pined for a consumption type tax. Some way of not punishing people who work, whether you're a blue-collar worker, a white-collar worker. If you are producing something, the government should not punish you for producing, for working. And that's what's so corrupt about the way federal taxes works. It punishes people for working. And Donald Trump, through innovative thinking, is the only person to come along, no help from anyone else, and say, you know what, we're going to try to do it this way. And by raising money through tariffs, it becomes a consumption tax as opposed to a tax that punishes people for working. Donald Trump loves people who work, and he wants people who work to be rewarded, and God bless him for it.
And that goes back to the border again, which is why 100%. It's so important. You close the border, you limit the amount of people that come in seeking low-skilled jobs, and suddenly that labor shortage means the wages for the working class rise. Again, this is Donald Trump. Donald Trump sticking up for the working class and sticking up for those who are working the hardest in our country. And again, this is about putting a businessman in the White House. And is it any surprise that we have these results?
Exactly. I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe.
That's
all I do is win, 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 no matter what.
Hey man,
listen, that's gotta be.
I gotta play it. I mean, dang. I mean, dang. Look, I will stand corrected on some of that. I was very concerned. I'm a free market guy. However, like we talked about before, some of the stuff that they pointed out with this and some of the deals that they did work out, it really did get it to be more even-handed. And we have talked about in the past, just basically saying like, hey, if you're not playing fair, I'm all for you getting punched in the mouth with tariffs, 100%. If you're not going to be free towards us, we're not going to be free towards you. It's a two-way street here.
And in the group, in the Informed Takes Facebook group, I posted something probably about a week ago, and it was about the top economies in the world. And it was showing how strong the U.S. economy is, or how large it is compared to the rest of the world. Yeah. Right. And so I got it up here. I'm just going to say what it is. So the top 5 biggest economies in the world, right? The top 13 U.S. states is number 1. China is number 2. Number 3 is the next 10 largest economies in the U.S. And number 4 is the rest of the 27 states. In terms of the largest economies in the world. The 5th largest economy in the world is Germany. Right? So you just broke the U.S. up, we would have 3 of the top 5 economies in the whole world. That's how strong the U.S. economy is as a whole. Wow. We are the driver of it, right? Wow. And so when you think about that, you can't simply turn away from this engine and go do something else, whether it's bricks or whatever it is, right? The U.S. economy is gigantic compared to the rest of the world. Yeah. And so when Trump starts doing this tariff stuff, people really don't have a choice, you know? And that's why the money is just flowing in the way it is, because you have to do business with us. You can't, there's no way for you to be successful if you stop trying to do business with the U.S. That's why Canada tried to threaten that. And what did they do? They caved in right away.
Yeah.
Right. You have to do business with the U.S. because this is the by far largest and strongest economy in the world. And you can't replace your U.S. business by taking it somewhere else. No one else can buy from you like that. There's just no alternative to the U.S. Right. You know? And so you can go to China where they steal your IP and everything else, you know, and have, you know, shady, you know, practices in banking, you know, but who wants to really place their livelihood in an economic system like China that's so dishonest, right? And so the U.S. is just a monster of an economy that none of these countries can't just turn away from us. Oh, they're terrorists. Okay, well, we're just gonna send we're gonna have Brazil buy from us. Brazil can't buy enough from you to make up for what you was getting from the U.S. There's just no other option out there to doing business with us. And Trump knew that. And Trump was like, y'all got to do business with us.
Yeah,
and it's showing. Right.
That's well. I was thinking the same thing as we were looking at that. I was thinking the same thing. Like, he knew, and it's a very businessman mentality. You're looking at the chessboard, and it's like, you got no more moves. Yeah, this is a forced move. You got to take this route that I'm giving you. You got to take this route that I'm giving you. I mean, I realize that now. He sees the chessboard. I mean, you know, in a more fair situation where everybody's playing ball, it would have been an ugly move to make. But when all this stuff kind of comes out that these countries were putting tariffs on our stuff, but they were getting to sell freely into the United States. Yeah, no, it's a brilliant move. So I want to say this too, because I don't want to give Trump all the credit. This isn't just about Trump. I don't think it's primarily, but I don't think he didn't come up with this on his own. This is Project 2025. This is the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation. So this is what Project 2025 was. It was a project to say, okay, if conservatives came into power, what would a true conservative government look like
in all of these different areas. So all the different areas of the country and intelligence, military, like I said, it's 900 pages long. And that is what's being implemented because conservatives have never had a true comprehensive plan of what it means to govern in conservative ideas and execute those ideas. Right. And so that is what they're doing. They're executing the ideas that was from the Heritage Foundation and, which is a think tank, but they also brought in, the top minds in these fields to say, okay, if we had control, what would we do with the military? What would we do with the economy? What would we do with the border and immigration, right? And so that is what's been implemented. I know Trump distanced himself from it during the election because it became a dirty word, but that really is what we're seeing take place here is Project 2025. And the president, I was trying to remember his name, the president of Heritage Foundation. I've heard this guy speak on many interviews. Man, this dude is I ain't gonna say brilliant. That's too strong of a word because like, oh, he's so smart. He gets it, is what I'll say. He gets it. And it's not complicated. Kevin Roberts is his name. He sat down with Trigonometry, did a great interview. This dude I don't want to say brilliant because it's so common sense, right? Mm-hmm. And it's simply conservative values actually being executed for the first time. And so, and I will say, even in Project 2025, there were competing views in that document on tariffs, right? So it wasn't just a one side. They understood that there are people with different opinions on tariffs, but I think clearly the tariff view won out. And so, yeah, Trump's in office and it's going well, but I think we got to really credit the Heritage Foundation and Kevin Roberts for putting together this thing and also being ready to run when they got in power. Because if you ever went to the Project 2025 website, you could apply for a government job. Like, there's like, hey, if you got expertise in a particular area, apply. We come into power, we're looking for people to put in place, right? And they had a plan from day one. And so, props to Project 2025, which, the Dems said it was going to rip up the Constitution and destroy the country and some type of other craziness,
normal election demagoguery,
Yeah. But just look what they're doing in the military, right? They're getting rid of all the crazy, right? They're getting back to, a mission first mentality. We're going to be lethal and we're going to focus on what we're supposed to focus on, which is breaking things and killing people. That's what the military does, right? We're not doing this social experiment. We're not doing EEI. We're not doing Native American Heritage Month and all. No, out. We're getting back to standards. We're getting back to military dress standards. We're going to get back to what made the military great and what makes a military great. And it's discipline and it's lethality. And we are not playing these childish games with social experiments and DEI. And so all of this stuff is in Project 2025, and that's what we're seeing play out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question from Matt.
Yeah.
Yes. Do y'all believe that this type of growth through tariffs will continue? What are your thoughts?
I don't know without knowing. So this is what I did think when they were talking about the number, the 27 billion in June. Is that because, some new tariffs finally kicked in and all of a sudden we're receiving this new money we weren't receiving before? Or, how sometimes there's like a delay in payments or something like, was there some other event that caused like two checks to stack up at the same time? I'm just wondering what is the accounting, right? Or is this just the normal revenue for June we had a $27 billion surplus? Or was this a special, we had this extra check come in this month and it looks really good, but that's not something that's continuous. I don't know. It's going to be something you just have to see over time what it continues to look like. It could just be that the actual new tariffs kicked in And that's what the revenue looks like now. I don't, but we won't know because we don't get to see the accounting. And so we won't know until we see if it continues or not.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. I think that the question for me comes down to does it wind up being a win-win? If it winds up being a win-win, then this could be pretty normal. It could be pretty normal, and I will say that my only thing is, man, can we keep the good times rolling? Because I was thinking as we were watching that video, think about this, it's July. The dude got in office on January 20th. Yeah. Okay, it's July. He hasn't been in office for 7 months yet. Okay, if now this is to keep winning like this, it takes some work. Now there's all kinds of things that they could fix in the government that conservatives have wanted to change for years and years, and if they follow the Project 2025 playbook, which I think is a brilliant insight that you had there, I think you're right that this is what it is. I think that it's possible that there are going to be, there's going to be continuous winning, and that all but guarantees, whoever he, decides is the successor, which, I think that we're going to have a little more sense about this next time. And so I think that, it winds up being a Vance or somebody else who's not a crazy person. And I think they pretty much walk straight into the Oval Office, and so I do think that it could continue.
But before we get there, I really want to see what happens in the midterms.
Oh,
because in the midterms, if there is not a change of power in the midterms, the Dems are in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Because typically you always see a change of power in the midterms.
Right.
If that does not happen, let's say the Republicans gain seats in the House or in the Senate in the midterms, that is going to be disastrous.
Oh, yeah.
Disastrous. Especially as the Democrats continue to double down on communism and socialism, which we can do a whole nother episode on that. But so after the Dems lost in 2016, of course, everyone was saying they got to come back to the center. They have to come back to the center because they're so far out to the left, they've lost the American people.
Yeah.
Well, the hardcores in the party was like, no, we lost because we weren't left enough.
Yeah.
We lost because we weren't on our principles. And so what have they done now?
Wild.
Yeah. They're doubling down on Bernie Sanders and AOC. Look at New York, right? What's happening in New York with the mayor race. You got this socialist. Yeah.
Minnesota.
You got this socialist dude up in Minnesota, right? The Democrat Party is doubling down on going further left, right? I think that's a disaster for a general election.
Oh yeah,
I mean they're gonna look great in Minneapolis and New York and Seattle and L.A., but in a general election, they're killing themselves.
They're going to get destroyed. To be honest with you, I actually don't think, based on what happened in the presidential election in November, I don't think it's going to look that good for them in those cities. At least in California and in New York, we saw a shift to the right. And so I think that if they keep doubling down like this, if they keep doing this, they're going to start to see people start to say, all right, man, like, I don't have another option. What they're talking about, like, these people sound like they don't like winning.
Yeah.
They sound crazier and crazier. We get in the dude who took over the boat from Captain, what was his name? Oh man, was it Captain Philippe? I think it was Captain Philippe.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain now. You got that dude. You got that cat running for was he running for mayor or is he running for governor?
I think it's mayor.
Yeah, he's running for mayor of
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, and
yeah, because the governor is still Tim Walz. He's not running for Tim Walz. So,
right. Yeah, so he's running for mayor of Minneapolis. You know, this dude, you're gonna say that this is what y'all have to offer. You have Zahran Mamdani in New York. That's what y'all have to offer.
Talking about government-run grocery stores. Oh
Crazy
wow, that's never been done. That's never been done before.
Never been tried. Yeah, like so. That's the best y'all got. That's what y'all voting for, man.
Yes,
y'all
they're doubling down on leftism.
Wax on, wax off. Y'all are going to get shellacked if you think that that's what the general population of this country is going to look at y'all doing and say we're ready to hand things back to you. No way.
Yeah. Matt said, tariffs do drive a bit of inflation. We're paying those fees. On the driving inflation point, that is what the Fed is saying as to why he won't drop the rates. He's saying because of tariffs, he won't drop the interest rates. And if what Matt is saying is true, then that would align with what the Fed is saying in terms of if the tariffs are causing inflation, then lowering the rates would also cause inflation. And so he's not lowering the rates because the tariffs have risen. And so I don't know. I want to see the rates lower, just see what happens. I'll take a 6 month risk on give me 4% interest rates or 5% interest rates, and I don't know. Let me see how the economy reacts.
Yeah. Trump is he just backed off of because he's pissed at Jerome Powell. He is pissed at him. So he wants to fire him. Cooler heads prevailed, and the last I saw is that Trump is backing off of that. He's not pushing for it anymore because they have convinced him that would be a bad move. And so my thing is, I don't know that I would call it inflation. I wouldn't call the tariffs increasing prices inflation. Because it's not necessarily across the board of the entire consumer index, right? It's on imports. Now there are things that we say are made here that they have a lot of parts that are coming from elsewhere, so it's really assembled here, right? You have that, and those are still going to see some price increases. However, I only look at it as inflation when you have a lot of money flood the market, and therefore demand outstrips supply in such a great way that the actual buying power of the dollar is decreased. That is when I look at it as inflation. I'm not sure about what the definition.
That is true inflation. That is true inflation. You're right.
Yeah.
But and so we know the lowering the rates is going to increase the buying power, right?
It will. Yes.
And that's what people want. People want the buying power to increase because people buy a home and they can't because of the interest rates and all this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just want to see what it does.
Yeah.
Let's just roll the dice, man.
Yeah.
Lower those rates.
I'm with it. I mean, look at the housing market, right? The housing market, what happened with COVID? That was turning the volume up on something that was already happening. There was already low inventory of homes.
Yes.
That goes all the way back to 2017, 2016, it goes all the way back there.
After the 2008 housing crisis, builders got gun shy and stopped building. Building just really slow and never really picked back up. And so what happened was because building didn't keep up, and all of a sudden you had these millennials, these lower millennials, all of a sudden become like home buying age, right? And there was not enough homes to deal with the supply or to deal with the demand that was now coming from all these new millennials who are now looking to buy homes, right?
Yep.
And so you had this crazy high demand and the supply just didn't keep up. And then, you know, COVID hits, and then people are at home and they realize, you know what, we need a bigger house. You know what, we need someone with a home office. We need, you know, so more people start looking for houses, new houses. Some people's like, you know what, it'd be nice to have a lake house. You know, yeah, let's get so we can go to the lake and get away from this. And so all of a sudden the demand for housing just went through the roof, and there was just not enough supply. And so, yeah, it caused an almost unnatural event because COVID caused it, you know?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And not to mention there's the amount of money we printed during that time as well.
That's exactly right. Yes.
But it was an artificial inflation of demand in the market because of COVID, you know? It's just crazy, man. I just wish, you know, Home Depot and Lowe's made so much money.
Right. Right.
Because people just at home like, oh man, I guess I got to add a addition to the house. Got to go some lumber.
Bro, there's so many niceties that I added to my back deck. I felt like I was going to Home Depot. I was going to Home Depot multiple times a week. Like, I need this torch. Oh, I need this. I need this for the table out there. Oh man, I need this for the grill. You know, we were eating dinner at home. You know, having people over, all that stuff. And now that everything's back to normal, I feel like we barely see anybody because we swore. Yeah. We were like, man, this is great. We're seeing each other way more. We're hanging out with our neighbors. We're actually getting to know our neighbors. This is kind of good for us. We shouldn't go back to the way we were before. We shouldn't allow ourselves to get this busy. Man, we are busier than we were before COVID.
Yes.
I see people less than before COVID now.
I miss remote work. That's all I'll say. I miss working from home.
I will say that COVID made me realize, because I wasn't 100% remote. I was working from home half the time. I wasn't 100% remote. COVID made me realize that I don't like being 100% remote because I like being around people. I like being around people, you know. And when I was just basically working out of my basement, because we bought a house in 2020, right before stuff got crazy. And one of the stipulations was it had to have an area that could be my office. That we were one of those people who was like, all right, whatever house that we get has to have an office. But that wasn't because of COVID, because COVID hadn't happened yet. We bought our house and we started working on this house several months, 6 months before COVID really happened.
Yeah.
But I was already a part of that tech culture. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, I work from home half the time. Like, I got to be able to block the 2-year-old out of my office, you know? And I didn't have that ability before. And you saw everybody wind up having to adjust to that. So now bigger houses are worth more. Our house value doubled during that whole thing. Yeah. It's just absolutely crazy. And now I'm just like, I can't lose this house because I don't know where I'm going to go.
I tell people all the time. So we bought our house in 21. I can't afford. If I had to buy my house today, I couldn't afford it.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. No way.
At the appreciated price and the current interest rate, I can't afford my house.
Nope. Yeah. At the peak of my income, I maybe. Like it'd have been a real stretch. When I hear what some of my friends who have bought houses within the last year, what their mortgages are, nah, man, I'm good. I'm gonna stay right here. Y'all gonna prime me out this house.
Yeah, not to go down this road, but we've talked about, you know, scaling down. Like, what if we sold this and just scaled down? When you scale down today, it's the same house note, same
house
price.
Note. Why would I do that? Why would I do? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. So I'm with you, man. Clackety clackety clack. Let's roll the dice, baby. Let's roll them.
Lower those rates.
Lower the rates. I don't like the idea that the Fed messes with the interest rates to artificially manipulate the markets. I'm not a fan of that.
You don't.
Not a fan.
I know you don't.
I don't like them deciding, oh, we got to cool off the economy because that's somebody's business that you're basically screwing. That's somebody's business.
This I'm going to defend the Fed. I know I'm going to lose my political right card, but I'm going to defend the Fed. We hadn't had a Great Depression since we created the Fed to regulate this thing, right? It's just a regulator, man, to prevent what happened in the 20s. And it's been 100 years, and so far in 100 years, it's worked. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Man.
Hey, man,
I just feel like it's got to be a better way. It's got to be a better way than basically like, the Fed basically being like, we think we're going to turn the thermostat down a little bit, and then whole businesses just, get smacked in the face.
I just think the way, we look at, we have rules for, to prevent monopolies and all this type of stuff. The free market can't just be free. There's always got to be some reins around the free market to make it operate in an efficient way instead of just, it's almost like, I'll compare it to a, what you call them? Why am I drawing a blank? Like an evolutionist, right? People who believe in evolution. They believe in these blind principles where nothing controls them. If you just let them operate, you get this wonderful outcome we call life, right? I think people a lot of times view capitalism that way in the free market. If you just leave it untouched and let it just naturally do what it does, it's going to be so wonderful and beautiful on the other end. You just have to let it just do. And I don't know if that's true. I don't think these principles just move in a way that's magical and just work out perfectly without any kind of tweak here, guardrail here. I'm pro-capitalism all day. I'm pro-free markets, but at the same time, I understand that sometimes it needs a tweak here, a boost here, turn this valve down, some guardrails here. You have to regulate it and manage it in a way to make sure that the 1920s don't happen again.
So I respect your opinion on that. I will differ a little bit. But first, I'm going to agree with you that it's not just magical. It's not just some magical self-regulating, self-governing, I'm trying to find the right, healing process. And I do, when I would hear certain people talk about that, some people, I haven't read enough of Milton Friedman to know whether he was an absolutist on this. He is people position him as an absolutist on it, and that he had that attitude. That may be true potentially. I'm not sure. I can't say definitively that he was of the mind that don't touch it. It will always correct itself. As a matter of fact, I think I remember seeing a video of him saying something like that.
That's what I'm saying. Actually, I don't know if that's because we know it's still human nature. It's not a system that operates absent of human beings.
I 100% agree with that. And because you're dealing with fallen human beings. And so
yes.
There's a tension, there's a balance there that has to be struck. We recognize that human government is a necessary evil, right?
Yes.
Because we are fallen. And so you have to have government to restrain evil, but you also have to restrain government because it can become an evil unto itself, right?
Yes.
So I think with the markets, I agree with you that it's not this magical thing that just works right as long as you leave it alone and it will, evolve and develop itself.
Mm-hmm.
But I I will say that I don't think that it should be messed with. I don't think it should be manipulated as directly as the Fed manipulates it. It's still indirect compared to central planning, right? But I'll say that I wouldn't say that you can't allow the markets to just be completely free. I would say that you can't allow the markets to be amoral. That is the principle in my book, is that you cannot allow the markets to be amoral. And that's where some free market absolutists who tend to lean pretty libertarian, in my opinion, mess up. Because another problem that hardcore libertarians tend to have is that they tend to not have a God-centered worldview. They tend to either be atheistic. Most of them that I've met are atheistic or something of that, like agnostic, whatever.
Agnostic,
And so they don't believe in applying. They don't believe in applying certain moral restrictions on things, and
that's why they're libertarians, not conservatives.
Exactly, right.
Because conservatives tend to operate with a moral framework around government being needed, and that libertarians don't operate under.
That's right, and that's why I never say that I am a libertarian. I may have very libertarian views on certain things, but I say that I am a Christian libertarian, and that puts guardrails on what can and cannot be done. There is a recognition that there is an objective morality, that it is possible for you to exercise a legal free will that you have and harm somebody else, and therefore that should probably not be legal, right? The same way that murder is not legal, right? There are certain things in the economic world that are wrong, that doing those things are wrong. And so I do think there's a way, there's a path where you can get to, for instance, antitrust law. Most of the time, I do not like the way that antitrust law is wielded. Most of the time, I think that the administration that is in place can wind up deciding they don't like a certain company that has won in a given market. They decide they don't like them, and they say they got to break up, right? And I think that power, if they get enough populist momentum behind them, they can decide to break up a company that didn't deserve to be broken up. However, you really do have companies that exercise exploitative monopolies on markets, and they know that nobody else has the cards. And so they're gonna stick it to you. They're gonna put you over a barrel, and that's wrong. And so we gotta find a balance there. And I tend to believe that we haven't found it yet. We haven't found the right groove on antitrust law. I used to be very much like completely against antitrust law, but not anymore.
Give me a case of a company you think was broken up and shouldn't have been broken up.
I don't think that Google should have had to have been broken up. Them doing the whole, Alphabet thing. I don't think that they were actually forcibly broken up by the feds, but I think that they did that to head it off. They separated Google from YouTube, and so now it's the Alphabet companies, Alphabet Inc., whatever. They did that I think they did that preemptively because they knew it was coming. And it was talked about. It was definitely talked about. I don't think they had to break up. Because effectively, I mean, what is YouTube going to do that Google don't want to happen? Okay.
Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah.
But I will also say that I didn't like the government telling Microsoft that they couldn't have. I think Microsoft at one point was not allowed to have Internet Explorer pre-installed as the default.
I remember that.
Yeah, as the default browser.
I remember that
in Windows.
Yes,
and I was like, "Are you serious, guys? Are you serious right now?"
No, I do agree. I remember that, and I do think that was trash because basically they were the government was just basically running cover for other search engines or
other browsers.
What's it called? Browsers. Yeah. That's all. That was lobbyists doing their job and getting to the government and saying, "Hey, they shouldn't be allowed to do this because it's an unfair advantage." Yeah, it's like it's their product.
Right, it's their product. Like it's like what was it? Epic. I love Epic. I'm a video game guy. One day, I plan on having a video game production studio. I love Epic. That so many games that they made marked my adolescent years, right? Very formative years. But they had that lawsuit against Apple, basically saying you can't take 30% from our in-app purchases. And I'm like, I do think 30% is a bit extortionary. 30% is a lot. However, it's their platform, and they're opening up their platform that they built. You would not be able to have this game on a phone if they didn't invent it. You wouldn't be able to have this app store with these really high standards if they didn't create it and enforce it. You wouldn't even have Android the way that it is if Apple didn't make the iPhone the way that it came out and then also released the App Store. Android was going to be like the BlackBerry, and Steve Jobs showed the heads of Google. He showed Sergey and them cats.
I'll say this,
the iPhone.
I'll say this though, because you're making an argument. You're saying you're basically making the argument that they deserve to have a monopoly because they created something. And the government
if they turn it off, look, here's the deal. If they turn it off, it all goes away. If they turn it off, it all goes away. You don't get to have Fortnite on the iPhone. If Apple turns off the App Store, if they turn off the iPhone, you don't get to have it. So you gonna come in to their house and tell them what they got to do with their stuff?
But you're making the point. It is a monopoly that gets to act as a mob boss, and shake everybody down. And the government said no.
But
I'm saying no. I'm for that. They shouldn't. You can't establish a monopoly in which you gangster everybody in the market and shake everybody down.
So here's what I think. Here's what I think. I think that if they want to charge 30%, they could charge 30%. Right? I think it's a lot, but they have the right, as the scripture, when Jesus was given the parable, he said, "Do I not have the right to do what I want with what's mine? Why are you questioning me on what I decide to pay somebody?" Right? So they got a right to charge somebody 30% on a transaction. The market can decide. People can decide, like, am I tired of paying that? Epic's move could have been, here's what we would charge if Apple didn't charge us 30%. But here's what we have to charge because they charge 30%. Like if I were in the marketing department at Epic, that's what I would be doing. I'd have billboards of that all over the daggone world.
But what does it matter when everyone is still beholden to Apple? There's no boycott. There's nowhere else to go.
If you turn the general populace against Apple, if they realize that people are charging them way more than they have to because Apple's hitting up the developers for 30% before you ever see the price, people are going to be pissed, and Apple's going to be in hot water.
Pissed. What does piss mean when you have no alternative?
Oh,
okay, you pissed.
Go get an Android phone. You can go get an Android phone. You can. You got alternatives. iPhone's not the only one that exists. You can go get an Android phone. I mean, I don't think it's as good, but whatever. But I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not such a wide gap that like you can't get an Android phone. Like you couldn't like go get an Android phone and not be happy. You know what I'm saying? Like you get an Android phone to be happy, right? So it's not like we're dealing with like people who have jets and the other people got bicycles. It's like, you know, it's not that big of a difference. And so I think that they ought to be able to say that. But the price fixing thing, that they deserve to get punished on, right? When they were price fixing with the iBook store and they were trying to force Amazon to raise their prices on ebooks, absolutely, that was wrong. They deserve to get punched in the face for that.
You're just making a case for government oversight in the Fed, man. That's all you're making a case for.
I just think that there's better ways to do it. The 30% thing, I think there's better ways to do it.
You just don't like all the decisions that are made, but someone needs to make those decisions. Is my point is.
I think that some of those decisions are overreach of somebody telling somebody else what to do with their private property, and then some of them are actually catching somebody in exploitative extortionary behavior. And those things I think come after.
I think there's a difference in private property, and it's your property. You're doing what you want to do with it. And it's another thing when you're using your private property in a market that is exploitative to other people. Just because it's your private property don't mean you can use it to exploit other people.
But so here's my issue though. How do you define exploit? Where's the line on exploitation? It's too fuzzy.
I think is when, like I said, it comes down to antitrust. Is when you become so powerful in the market that you have the ability to. That's why you can do that to people, because you're so powerful in the market. You can exploit people that way, and the government has to say you're too powerful. You know, no one else can compete with you. We need to put in some things to make it more fair for everyone else. And it's not about then the government isn't taking your private property. They're saying if you're going to operate in the market and use your private property in a business sense to engage with others, then you're going to have to play by some rules. And you just can't say, well, I'm king because it's my private property. You don't get to be king. You know?
Right. I think that there's a point at which the government comes in and they disrespect property rights when they do some of this stuff. I think that I would rather us determine that there are certain things that you can and cannot do. And I would like those lines to be a lot more defined, as opposed to us having antitrust laws where if enough people decide that you're wrong, you're wrong. I think that's kind of jacked up. Because that's the way it works right now. If enough people decide that you're wrong, then you're wrong, and you got to give the government what it wants. And I think that sucks.
Well, the government is by the people, for the people. So it's the people.
They don't always act in the people's best interest.
I agree. But man, I did not expect us to go down that rabbit trail.
Neither did I.
We've been going a minute. Did you want to get to
we can't let what's her face get off the hook.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that, and then we'll get out of here.
All right. So yeah. What the X is going on, man?
Hold up. Before we get into this, though, I do want to stand up for all of the Androids out there. I want to stand up for all the Samsung Galaxies out there. Props.
Hey, I will say the Galaxy Note 10 Plus was a sexy phone. I had that phone in 2020. I did an experiment to see if I could make the switch from iPhone to Android, and I think it lasted about 9 months. Just as a guy who used to design software for a living, Samsung just made me so mad. They made so many rookie mistakes with that operating system. I was just like, this is dumb. Like, I know people who worked for me that made better design decisions in some of these things. It's like, I never used the Android phone and I never used a Samsung Android phone and thought to myself, man, that is so amazing. I wish I could have come up with that. It never happened, not one time. But it happens when I use the Apple device. Like this.
I still associated people who use Apple with people who drive Priuses. It's just the same group of people to me. You have an Apple, you drive a Prius, and you shop at Whole Foods. That's how I view you.
I realize that there's some dudes out there that's the way they think about it. I mean, I think, and the way that I think about people that are too hardcore about Android, I just think like you hardcore about a copycat phone. You wouldn't even have your phone if Apple didn't do what they did. Your phone was gonna look like a BlackBerry.
Hey, the BlackBerry was very good for a long time. Don't sleep on the BlackBerry.
It was till the iPhone entered the ring and it got dunked on. The BlackBerry got dunked on.
No, the Android just does what Apple does at a cheaper price. You know? Hold up. Let me guess. They changed the headphone jack to the other side this year, right? That was the upgrade, right? And you had to go out and get the new version. Right? That's what they did, right?
Listen, man, I'm too much of a nerd, man. I'm too much of a nerd.
See,
you don't want this smoke, man.
Katie's proving my point. The whole green text in the chat, you're so special. You got your own colors. Like, oh, they're not an Apple, they're not an iPhone. It's blue, you know? Oh, this green Android guy. You're right. Like, it's so bougie and pretentious. All you iPhone people.
Come on, man.
Android
You an Intel guy. You an Intel guy. You know that. And you know that blue stuff means end-to-end encrypted, brother.
And
you know
Android people do not complain about iPhones. It's only the iPhone people who have made it to where you have to complain about people who don't have an iPhone. That's trying to corner the market. Trying to corner the market, force everybody to go Apple because it's public pressure not to be the green person in the chat. It's social pressure. And I refuse to give in to it.
It's prejudice,
I refuse.
Baby. We got a green bubble, y'all. We got a green bubble.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm the only person on our elder team at church that has an Android.
You ruined the group chat, bro. You ruined the group chat.
And I refuse to give in to the pressure and convert over to Apple.
You and Jay Witt. You and DWC, man. You and DWC. Both of y'all ruining group chats. I got to have WhatsApp on my phone because of Jay Witt. I ain't even used WhatsApp before him.
Kick me out then if you don't want to talk to me. Kick me out.
Oh man, that's why Kevin's in favor of antitrust laws, man. It's because he got an Android. He used the antitrust law as it's the big red button. He's like, don't make me push the red button now. Y'all, I'm feeling pressured. I'm a antitrust y'all. Y'all blue bubbles, I'm a antitrust you.
No, man, you're not gonna use that social pressure. This ain't high school to get me to convert over, and no.
It's all good, man. It's all good. One day.
Hey, come on, Kevin. Don't you want to be cool like the other cool kids? Come on, like no. Android and PC, baby. Android and PC.
Man, I mean, you know, when you live in a cave your whole life, you don't know what the light looks like.
Matt said we should allow church leaders to have Androids.
I'm saying, I've said multiple times that DWC need to be on church discipline for having an Android phone. I've said multiple times. I've said it.
You know,
you know.
I bet you were. I bet you were for EV mandates too, weren't you? Yep.
Oh man. I think it's funny the Android guys, you know, I remember one of my coworkers, he's like, I'll never have a fruit phone. I'll never have a fruit phone.
I mean, all I can say is Genesis 3, man. All I can say is Genesis 3. The Apple has a reputation, is all I'm saying. And then it's even got the bite mark out of it. Like that's Eve just biting the apple.
Man, I love this. Man. I could do this all day. Man, but
we gotta get to something more ridiculous than this, though.
Yes, we do. So the first thing, speaking of Genesis 3 and the taking the forbidden fruit, man, sad day, man. Sad day. What's happening?
I forgot I put this one in there. Yeah. So I can't. It's too far away from. I can't read it, but I'll just kind of give people the synopsis of. If you haven't been keeping up with what's been going on with Chip and Joanna Gaines, you know, these are my people too, man. I've been to Waco like 4 or 5 times. What I call Magnolia Land. You know, I'm a fan. But you know, they're professing Christians. No, they have their own network now and everything. And they introduced a new show on their network recently. And in the show, it's about homesteading. It's like going back to the 1800s. And there's 3 families that are homesteading. Well, they have given into the pressure. And one of those 3 families is a gay couple with 2 adopted boys, right? So 2 men, 2 adopted boys. You know, and they're highlighting this family trying to, you know, on this show. And we all know what that is. We all know that has been the culture's way of trying to normalize these types of things and push them on you. So why is it that a couple who claims to be Christian and who have kind of resisted all of this stuff up to this point, all of a sudden taking this and now inserting it into their content, right? And so they were getting pushback. And so Chip came back and he basically just doubled down on it. And he just basically blamed it on hateful American Christian culture. And it's like, no, you don't get to do that. You do not get to do that, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you are a professing Christian. You already know what is happening in the culture in terms of pushing this stuff to try to normalize it. And this is what I'll say too. The couple that is on the show put out a statement saying that, or they were in an interview talking about how they saw this as an opportunity to normalize. Like, their whole point is to normalize that lifestyle. So if you are a Christian and your family-oriented shows that Christian families tend to sit down like, okay, it's Magnolia. I can let my kids sit down. We can watch this. And now I got to deal with 2 dudes, you know, and there are 2 adopted kids. I was about to go on a sidebar, but I'm not going to do that. But okay, I'll just say it. I won't talk about it. I'll just make the statement. Why is it that when you have these gay couples, they always adopt little boys? That's all I want to know. But not go down that rabbit hole. But I'm just saying they never adopt girls, and so, yeah, and so like. And so he doubled down on this, and Joel Berry, who's the, I think he's the editing director at the Babylon Bee, he basically came in and called him out and said, and tried to just kind of speak some sense to him. And Chip responded, but it was so dismissive because Joel was like, "Hey man, you know, people, you know, we tend to watch this with our kids. We love, you know, your content and your fame has been built on Christians, right?" And now he says it's sad that I can't watch this type of stuff with my kids because, you know, and Chip came in and said, "Don't be sad, Joel. Plenty of other stuff out there. I'm sure everyone will be fine." Like basically saying you don't have to watch our content if it's not for you. I'm like, okay. All right. So I'm done. if you're gonna just take that, if you're just gonna give in to the progressive left culture war stuff, like, because the thing is, it's so intentional, and it's not about being mean to somebody, but you don't have to platform that stuff in your content, and they're above it. I mean, they have made it. They are huge. Right. They're their own network. They don't have to do this.
They don't have to do this.
They have chosen to do this. They have chosen to do this as some type of inclusiveness and representation. It's like, bro, you 5 years too late. That was 2020.
Right.
To go this direction now, after we've like pushed back against all this stuff and kind of overcame the woke stuff, now you do it. Right. It's like, bro, you 5 years too late.
Right. Read the room, man. Read the room.
Yeah.
I mean, now, not just read the room, right? If you were going to do that, I hear what you're saying. If you were going to do that, it was 5 years ago you was going to do that. You might have even gotten a little more grace from Christians who's like, it's a lot of pressure out there right now. Like, well, okay, it's a lot of pressure. You might have gotten like a little bit more. You wouldn't have been let off the hook by any means. You would not have been let off the hook.
No.
But right now, you do this now, this shows what you really think about it. Because in a moment where there's no pressure for you to do this, you chose to do it willingly. It's basically, the memes that's like, nobody, and then you come out of here with something nobody asked for. Nobody was asking for this. Nobody.
Nope. And then you got the nerve to double down and talk down on everyone who disagrees. Like, okay, all right, well, move out, leave Texas and move out to California then, and do your little show, and nobody will watch it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for him to say, so when he said, "Don't be sad, Joel. Plenty of other stuff out there. I'm sure everyone will be fine." What he's saying, there also is just basically like I agreed with Meg Basham's take on what he was saying. It was like he was basically kind of saying like, "Oh, there's there's plenty of like worse stuff out there," basically. And I'm like, really, dude, really, like you are doing exactly what the worst stuff is. Like you can't say that when you're doing the same thing. You're a part of that now.
And this is what I'm gonna call hypocrisy, right? Because I know how they raise their kids. They don't have a TV at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. They don't have a TV at home. Mm. They raise their kids apart from the influence of television and all of this stuff, right? They on the farm. And so when Joel was like, "Hey, man, this is what we watch with our kids and our family. We support y'all." And he like, "Y'all be fine."
Man.
But yet he don't expose his own kids to it.
Man, when he said it's a sad Sunday when non-believers have never been confronted with hate or vitriol until they are introduced to a modern American Christian, that sentence made me angry.
Yeah.
Because it's just not true. It's just not true. The people who say that the most are atheists who are mad at God, and they hate the Bible, and they hate God's rules. They hate God's way. That's the kind of stuff that atheists say. And for him to say that, and it's not that there aren't Christians out there who do bad things. So for anybody who's watching this or listening, it's not that that Christians don't do bad things. That's why we need forgiveness and we need the grace of God. However, this is a false characterization of the church today, of the American church. It's a false characterization. American Christians are some of the most generous people in the world. I mean, you want to talk about people who are adopting kids from the other side of the planet and raising them. How many families I've gone to church with that half of their blended family, half of their family was adopted kids. They got like 8 kids, and half of them were adopted kids from the other side of the world.
Same. Yeah.
This right here, that made me angry.
Yeah. And this is the thing. That's why I say he's 5 years too late. He said this in 2020. He might have gotten the whole culture behind him. But you mentioned atheists. What is it that atheists have been saying now, right? Not only do we need more Christians, right, to be Christians, but they have found that the Christians and the conservative right are the most welcome and tolerant people, right? So it's not, he's so late on this. That's what blows my mind. It's like, and maybe he's so late because they're detached from TV and social media, and they don't really, and so it's almost like he's just getting caught up to 2020.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I literally think they live so far out on the farm and so out of touch with what's going on in the world. Yeah, I think he's just 5 years too late. And he doesn't realize that, no, man, we did that 5 years ago. We fought against that, and now everybody's sick of that stuff. And now you decide to try to push it, bro, you late.
Yeah. And this right here is an example of something that my pastor said to me at one point. He said that America has been becoming less and less and less Christian. And one of the things that I'm concerned about as a pastor is that American Christians are not ready to be persecuted. And this is an example of that.
Facts. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say this to A.E. Rogers, saying that this doesn't surprise them because they never struck them as conservative biblical Christians. I disagree. I always took them as that because up to this point, they've never taken the progressive leftist stance. Number one, they're in Texas. They live on a farm. What about that wouldn't be conservative? And they've always play this. Up to this point, they never gave into the Rainbow Coalition. They just never did. And it wasn't that they were taking stances, standing up against some things, but they also weren't promoting it. They weren't doing DEI. They weren't throwing rainbow stuff in their advertising. They did none of that stuff, right? And so, vocal Christians, right, in Texas, live on a farm. I assume that they are conservative Christians. That's just my assumption. There's nothing about them to say that they're progressive, liberal, nothing. This is the first thing, and that's why it's shocking, because it's coming out of nowhere and it's 5 years too late. I bet you he just found out about BLM. And he's like, no justice, no peace. Like, he's so late to everything. You're like, bro. I'm for real. Like, if you didn't do this stuff in the height of the Great Awakening, right? Why would you do it now? It just makes no sense. And so that's why I'm surprised about it, because the timing is just horrible. If they had came out and did it, 5 or 10 years ago, we could have wrote them off as, giving into the culture. But the culture's not even that anymore.
It's not. It's not. And yeah, I mean, I just think that this further confirms just something that I've seen over the years, is that all the things that I thought were safe indicators, they're not. They never are. What's on the inside of a man's heart is the only thing. And I've seen people who I thought were solid go very far afield, and this is what I think happened. I do think they were conservative Christians, Texas farm Christians. I mean, that's just what I think they were. But once you get into TV, right, and you start working with production crews and producers and stuff, right, and a lot of those people came from LA. They came from Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. So you start being around other people. You start building personal relationships with people
who are in the rainbow community, right?
Yep.
And you start to feel empathy towards them, and you start feeling as if you have to speak up. So this is what the loving thing is to do, right?
Yeah.
I have family members in the alphabet community, and they're cousins, and I have seen their parents change on these things.
Yeah.
Because it's their kids and they love their kids.
Yeah.
Right. Personal relationships and getting close to people who are in these situations will cause people to leave their values for the people they care about. Right. That is the most tempting thing to do. And I think that's probably what happened with them. I think they've just built some relationships with people through television production. And now they're softening on that issue because it's personal to them in a way of empathy towards people they care about.
I think that's actually, I think that's highly accurate, spot on, because there's evidence for it. The one of the guys in that couple, in that same-sex couple on the show, has been a long time collaborator and kind of like co-worker of Joanne. She's chosen to work with him on multiple shows. So he works.
So this is somebody they know personally, not just some people they decide to put on the show.
Correct. Yes. Like they've been very close. He's her favorite. He's one of her favorite
relationship.
Yeah. He's one of her favorite people to work with. And so multiple things that she has worked on with TV, with the network, et cetera, she brings him in on, she's been close with him. When he made a post on social media coming out as gay, she liked the post and was in the comments saying, yes, so-and-so, you are amazing. And so people are like, that this is not like them just doing something that we don't understand. She was affirming. So it is
always, it's just when people, I talk about it all the time. Are you a person of principles? Right. If you are a person of principles, you cannot change those principles just because there are now consequences to those principles.
Yeah.
And that's hard. What people are doing.
That is really the challenge of this Christian walk is, are you going to please man or please God? I'm not going to pretend like that's easy. I'm not going to pretend like that is not at times quite costly. Not going to sit on a high horse on that one. It was a high cost, but this was something they didn't have to do, and they chose to do it.
They chose to do it. Yeah, so they can keep. Yeah. So.
Yep.
All right. What's the last one, man? That's the last one. Because
all right. So, Candace Owens. Oh my gosh, what the crazy, man? The levels of crazy just keep increasing. So, Candace said, "Let's get real specific," because this is actually a follow-up to another post that she made where she basically said that she says they always steal, murder, etc., and they're evil. So she basically called the nation of Israel evil. And so Yashar Ali went in her replies, because she didn't say Israel, but you knew who she was talking about. And so he went in the replies and said, who is they specifically? And she comes
say it with
back,
your chest.
Yes, say it with your chest. That's right. Uncle Richie Jr. decided to call her out. And she said, okay, let's get real specific. The nation of Israel, which from its origin has implemented a worldwide system of theft, mass murder, and international blackmail and deception. God will have his vengeance. This who is they trick does not intimidate me. So she doubled down.
She's like, I'm not afraid to say it's the Jews.
Right. I mean,
I'm not.
The mask, if it was any mask left, it's off. You are watching in real time her radicalization progress. It is kind of astounding.
It's crazy. Like, she said the Jews, Israel has implemented a worldwide system of theft, mass murder, and international blackmail.
Yeah.
A worldwide system of theft and mass murder the Jews are responsible for.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, where's her swastika?
Yep. That's right. That's exactly right. I was like, she went full on. I'm getting it's giving Clayton Bigsby, man. It's giving Clayton Bigsby. It's giving Black Ku Klux Klan member. It's giving, oh man. The other thing that came to mind when I read this series of posts on X was that same clip from Tropic Thunder. It's like, you went full retard, man. You never go full retard. She went full retard, man. Like
full,
dude.
Yeah, like that's just a crazy. I was like, she might as well be Hamas.
Right.
She might as well be Iran. She might as well be Osama bin Laden. Because that's what she's spewing.
Absolutely.
That is what she's spewing. She might as well be Hitler. Like, that is crazy that, so, she converted to Catholicism. And this guy made a video breaking down her new belief, because I didn't realize there's a certain sect of Catholics. It's like SSPX or something like that, but they don't accept like the Second Vatican Council and stuff like that. But they are known for like just anti-Jewish, Jewish conspiracies, and so what he was laying out her religious worldview. I even Googled it because I never heard of it, and it was true. If that is the form of Catholicism she is held to, they are full-blown anti-Semites, right?
Right.
And it makes sense. And so she was led to this by her husband. And are you familiar with the story with how her husband met and like how fast they got married?
I'm not, but I've heard many people say that it's was
really weird.
Her husband who really got her on this game. That he's the one who kind of started to lead her down this path.
Yeah, absolutely. But her husband, I think they got married within a month of meeting, and they met. It was almost like an arranged thing. And from my understanding, I had to look this up. My understanding, the person who brought them together was Andrew Tate.
Stop.
If I'm not mistaken.
Stop.
I think that's, and so they talk on the phone, whatever, then they meet up, and then they basically decide, okay, we're gonna get married. And they got married within a month of meeting. And so it's really suspicious, right? And now this dude has led her down this path, and it's just so weird and suspicious as to how did all of this come to be, and like it just makes you wonder who's pulling some strings here and orchestrating this, because it looks very, very arranged.
It's so weird, dude. It's so weird, super weird. I brought up real quick. I brought up the tweet that Yashar was responding to of hers. So she says, because it's talking about Israel just bombed the very Gazan church Pope Francis used to call daily during the genocide. They injured the very priest, Gabriele Romanelli, who used to update the Pope on the situation. So she's kind of, it's kind of crazy because she's, you know, like she's taking like a kind of a liberal Catholic line on this. It feels like it's very weird.
So this is what you have to remember about Candace's ideology. Regardless of what sect of Catholicism she's holding to, I do know that she views her fight against the Jews as a religious, spiritual fight for Christianity.
Right.
She believes that everything these Jews are doing is to destroy Christianity.
Yes. Which is, I mean, wow.
And that's why she said God will have his vengeance, whatever. She views this as a crusade against the Jews, against Israel. Right. I've known that for a long. Like that's her whole view of Israel the Jews got us to drop the atomic bombs on Japan as an attack on Christians. Right. She's talking about all the Christians who were killed in Germany during World War II. Like her whole thing is like all of this stuff is an orchestrated attack against Christians, against the church. So this falls right in line with her conspiracy theory ideology and how she is viewing the world. Right. This is just fuel to that's why. And so she said this out of anger. She believes she's on a righteous crusade against the evil great Satan, which is Israel.
I mean,
that's her theology.
Yeah. She straight up said they're demons and they are our
she
enemies.
believes that. She believes that. Yeah. Religiously, she believes that. This isn't political. This is religious to her.
Wow.
Yeah.
And she is gravely misguided, gravely deceived here. We're not over here saying that the nation of Israel, the present day nation of Israel, is Christian or whatever, right? Like we're not saying that, but I mean, you kind of gone off the deep end if you're over here calling them demons, saying they are our enemies, they lie, steal, cheat, murder, and blackmail. I mean, she is stopping just shy of basically saying it's all the Jews. I mean, she is using the very language. I mean, the very same language, and the it all goes back to the first time that I saw that there was a problem was when Kanye had his freak out. Kanye had his freak out, and she would not denounce what he was saying. She wouldn't denounce what he was saying, and then the whole Christ is King thing happened. And we've talked about that before. I've been around these X streets long enough to know that that's a Groyper thing to say, even if they're not, they don't claim Christianity. I mean, it's evident that they're not Christians, but even if they don't claim Christianity, they don't profess Christianity, they will still say that because it's a dig against the Jews to them. And so she did it exactly the way that they do it. It's also interesting that in all my years of being a Christian, I've never heard another Christian bark back at somebody who is Jewish, or really anybody, Christ is King.
No.
So yeah, she was clearly not trying to glorify Christ in that statement. We've covered that before, but this whole exchange, this is a new level of sort of brazenness on her part. This is a new level for her with this whole thing, and that's very insightful, man. I did not really look at it as being a religious thing to her, but now I see that. I think you're right, dude. I think you're right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy.
Man.
Yeah. So I didn't find like how they got introduced to each other, but they got engaged after 17 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now listen, hey, I knew I wanted to marry my wife the moment I met her. But I had to wait a little while to get her to say yes. But and we're still married, praise God. But 17 days after you just met is a little fast.
And he proposed over FaceTime.
Wow. My wife would not have accepted that. She would not.
Yeah. So they weren't even together. He was in the UK.
Wow. Yeah, this is
it's weird. It's all I'm saying. It's weird.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. I do wonder if because you remember she wasn't when she first came on the scene, when she was red pill black, she was not a Christian. When she was red pill black, she was not a Christian.
She wasn't.
When she goes on, when Dave Rubin puts her on the map, kind of, she built up her own YouTube and she had a following. So Dave Rubin brought her on because she was building up a following on YouTube, and I had seen her videos. So when he had her on, I had already seen a couple of her videos. But this whole conversion to Christianity was something I started to see her use Christian language a little more. What was it? Maybe a couple years ago? Maybe a couple years ago. I mean, it was 2-3 years ago.
I can't remember.
Maybe
the
4 years ago. It's probably 4 years ago. I remember circa 2019. Circa 2019, you didn't really hear her say it. Maybe it was 5 years. I started to see her every now and again start using Christian language. And I want to say it was in 2020 that I started to see her start using some Christian language here and there, but she hadn't made a public profession of faith.
Well, that would make sense. So she got married in 2019.
There it is. There you have it.
Yeah. But she claims she was Protestant.
Right.
She claims she was Protestant. She only converted to Catholicism here recently, once she started this crusade against the Jews. Right.
Man. Because I thought it was 3 years ago. I thought it was 3 years ago she converted. I'll have to go back and look that up.
To Catholicism, no. It was because I remember who did she have on? She had someone on her show debating her husband on Protestantism versus Catholicism, and she was in the Protestant camp at that time.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but she was open to whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, the girl just going down the deep end. She is, man, she's lost, and so just be aware, y'all. When y'all see Candace saying this crazy stuff, just know what it is.
Yeah.
Man, I think this is our longest show ever. And coming into the night, I didn't expect that.
I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna wrap up. We're gonna have a clean 2 hours.
Yep. 3 hours
we blew
later.
Right past that. That. Georgia State Patrol chasing us.
Oh
man.
All right. So final thoughts, man. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Just listen. Trump's a G. Dude making that money. He a G, man. And the whole Israel thing. You got a lot of people who kind of lining the fence on that thing. Listen, just if you have people running across your border, shooting up your grandma, shooting up your daughter when she's at a concert, and then running back across the border and taking some hostages with them, tell me you wouldn't have a rifle in your hand going across that border, man. Tell me you wouldn't. Tell me if the government was just like, hey, enlist. If you go in to get them, enlist. Tell me you wouldn't have the rifle in your hand. Come on now.
We basically did it after 9/11.
Right. When it got them across the ocean, you know? So, yeah. That's right. Kevin started that Android nonsense. He extended the show. We had to battle out iPhone versus Android, you know, basically, you know, Android Catholic.
Oh man. Clearly the Android reformed from the iPhone. It protested. It is the Protestant version of the phone.
I don't think I can deny that. I don't think I can deny that. The only problem is in this case, it's not better. It's the prodigal son.
We know. God is honored through the weak things of the world. You know.
Man, you got any final thoughts, man?
Man, just that, you know, peace through strength, man. It works. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Just in Ukraine, it's a different type of strength than the president originally felt he had to use. But now that's what Putin pushed his hand, that's what he's going to do. And so we're going to get to peace. It's just a matter of how much Putin is willing to suffer before we get there.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
But but no, man, good show tonight, man. This was, man, we really had three main topics, and that's what took us so long, because once we got to that trade stuff, that's what did it.
Yeah, that
was just supposed to be like hey, let's just talk about this and then go on. No, we dove in. And so,
I will say there's a whole thing that we didn't even get to, because I went to see Superman, and I have opinions. As Jerry Seinfeld's dad said on Festivus, I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about them. So I'm going to have to make a separate video. Make a separate video, because I got to say something about this, because I hated it. I hated that.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, guys, we thank y'all for being with us. We appreciate y'all's support. You guys are the greatest chat in all of the YouTube land. Yep. And so, we appreciate you guys. Check out Devin at Podium Studios. Check out the merch store. Check us out each week as we dive into politics and geopolitics. But until next time, stay informed.
Stay informed, folks. This podcast was filmed at Podium Studios at Marietta Square. Grow your business with turnkey, professional quality podcasting, live streaming, and online events. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about anything. Just come in and record. Learn more at thepodium.studio. Step up to the podium.